This episode is brought to you by Casa Humilde Cerveceria. Shout out to los hermanos Lopez, born and raised in the north side of Chicago, in the Hermosa neighborhood to be exact. Everybody asks us, hey, where can I get some AMG beer? Hey, where can I get some Casa Humilde beer? All you got to do is go to CasaHumildeChicago.com, pop in your zip code. You're going to get all the locations. Go get some beer, go get some chelas, and go visit them at their new location out there in Forest Park. Casa Humilde Brewery, ya se la saben, son del quemado los pelados. This episode is brought to you by Frontline Autoworks. 1751 Albright Road in Montgomery, Illinois. All my people out there in the western suburbs, go check them out. Aurora, Oswego, Plano, Yorkville. Go get your car checked out. General Mechanic, they specialize in wheel alignment, transmission. They also do the Lyft and Uber inspection for all my drivers out there. Go check them out. You can make a scheduled appointment for an oil change for your AC recharge. 630-692-9704. Or feel free to visit them at their website, frontlineil.com. This episode is brought to you by Fry the Guy Designs. The man, the myth, the legend. If you need any kind of pictures, any kind of logo for a band, for a business, any kind of video, make sure you hit up Fry the Guy Designs. Follow him on all his social media, Instagram, Facebook. Make sure you tell him the compa sent you, and he will gladly send you a smiley face. This episode is brought to you by M4L. Mufflers for Less. Shout out to my guy, the Mexican Jay-Z, out there at 3349 North Damon Avenue. That's out there in Chicago, Roscoe Village, El Rey del Norte. Váyanse a chequear el mofle, 773-348-2955. But don't let the name deceive you. My guy out there does everything. General mechanic, from oil change to transmission to anything that you do, AC recharge, you call it. That's where we go. That's where Georgie went. Si escuchan la pedorra de Georgie, that's my boy Jose Cermeños out there at M4L, 3349 North Damon Avenue, El Rey del Norte. Chequense el mofle. Today's episode is brought to you by Aguacate Chicago. Create your custom garment with us. We offer direct-to-garment services for your business or personal needs. There is no minimum order required, and we can also assist with creating your logo if needed. Follow us on all of our social media platforms under Aguacate Chicago. What's good, what's good, what's good? Su compa Carlos Rodríguez.
Y su compa Alvaro, ¿cómo andamos?
Hijo de la chingada. Acá me estoy ahogando, compadre. ¿Cómo andamos, hijo de la chingada? Aquí andamos en otro episodio con Puros Compas Podcast. Hoy va a estar muy chingón. Hoy va a ser algo que también planeamos con mi compadre Fry. Shout out to Fry. Empezamos con Fry the Guy Design. Él fue el que nos conectó hoy con nuestro guest. Antes de presentarlo, le vamos a dar las gracias aquí a nuestros patrocinadores, como siempre. A mis compas de Casa Humilde, que ahora sí, güey, ya abrieron.
Ya abrieron.
Ya abrieron.
Ya están abiertos.
Ya está abierto. Casa Humilde Cervecería. Fully open. Forest Park. Go check them out. Es la cervecería y también comida. Shout out to my boy Jonathan Zaragoza, who is the head chef there from Birreria Zaragoza.
Yes.
Better known as Goat Boy on Instagram. Go follow him. Casa Humilde Cervecería, Forest Park. Grand opening. Everything went great. Go check them out. They're open pretty much every day except, I think, Mondays or Tuesdays. 6 days a week. Go check out Casa Humilde Cervecería. Familia López, felicidades. Enhorabuena, compadre.
Yes,
Para toda la familia, very, very happy and proud of you guys. También para mi compa José Cermeño, que también
ya.
se llamaba mi compa José Cermeño.
Se llamaba.
Se llamaba.
You got her last name now or what?
Ahora fue al revés.
No hay pedo. Pero todavía M4L.
M4L, my boy José Cermeño, felicidades. Thank you for the invite. It was a great wedding, beautiful wedding. Everything was great. Loved it. M4L in Roscoe Village. ahora sí tienen que ir a echarle gana porque
Ya se casó el compa.
ya se casó y los biles se acaban de duplicar a la chingada. Así es de que
Sir.
Mufflers for Less, General Mechanic, se hace de todo, pero él es el rey del mofle, es el rey del norte.
Chequénselo.
Chequense el mofle. José Cermeño, familia Cermeño, Mufflers for Less, Roscoe and Damon in Roscoe Village. Para mi compita Jorge Castañeda, Mechudo, mi compa Fry, Aguacate Chicago,
Sweatshirt.
go get, I got the hoodie on. The AC is a little fucking cold for me. Aguacate Chicago, go check them out. Order your shirts, order your hoodies. I think I'm going to get a shirt done for the Fuerza Regida concert this weekend. A ver qué show. No sé qué ponerle, pero voy a tener que ordenar ahí con mi compa el George.
A ver qué la hacen.
Para mi compa Fern,
Yes, sir.
que you guys just did like a fucking Masters or fucking, where did you guys go play golf or some shit?
Oh, I won the, what do you, the green jacket, compa.
You got the green fucking
I
jacket.
won the fucking green
First time
jacket.
playing golf.
Second time. Third
And you
time.
get the green
Third
jacket.
time.
I think that's a fucking record right there. Fucking
You
master.
know me. Now we went out.
Bart
had a
Woods, if you will.
Algo así.
Me gusta así.
Tigre Leñas.
Tigre. Pero Bart, who said Bart mejor?
I'm like Tiger Woods.
You like the tigre?
Yo soy como el tigre.
Well, if you see Bart in the motherfucking golf course,
My boy Fernie's most likely with
most
me.
likely he's holding up the fucking line with the guys behind you guys. Shout out to Frontline out in Montgomery, el compa Fernando por allá. También General Mechanic, go check him out.
De todo.
De todo ahí,
Se
compadre.
hace de todo.
Out of the west suburbs, por allá para Oswego, Yorkville, Aurora, of course, Montgomery, Sugar Grove, todo ese rollo por allá, cáiganle por ahí. Master Mechanics, Frontline Auto Works, go check them out. What's the street they're on?
1751 Albright Road in Montgomery, Illinois.
Ya la tiene
Check
grabada.
'em out.
Ya la tiene grabada. Y para el mero mero,
Fry the guy.
Designs.
Yes, sir. Fry the guy designs. Go get everything. Your pictures, your logos. He does it all.
Your
He does it
podcast.
all. Your podcast.
Hey man, anybody out there wants to shoot a podcast and they want to rent out the studio and rent out Fry,
Yes, sir.
fucking send us a message.
He's not cheap.
For only $9.99 a fucking hour. Is that right, compa?
$999.
Yeah, $999. That's what I mean. Not $9.99.
Wow, watch out.
Not $9.99.
They're gonna show up thinking
$9.99
$10 an hour. They're like, he already makes $4 in the sweatshop.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
$10, he's killing it.
Fuck that. Then he's gonna be able to buy a house. Fuck. We can't have that. He's
Check
gonna want to
him
go
out,
home
man.
after that.
If you want a kick-ass podcast, like the one we're sitting on right now, podcast set,
yeah.
Fry the Guy Designs
Fry
is
the
the
Guy
only
Designs.
way to go.
Salud, compadre.
Yes.
Well, due to him having this plug today, we have a great, great podcast
Ya me veo,
on
compadre.
deck por aquí, compadre. Vamos a recordar los tiempos de cuando mi compa Bart se cayó de un miniature horse
Pinche pony a la verga.
allá en
el
Orchard
Vergel.
Farms. ¿O dónde era?
En el Vergel. compa, ahí en el
Ahí
pinche
también tienen
arroyito.
pinches miniature.
Compa,
Ese era un pinche
that's
burro,
cool.
compadre.
No,
¿Cuál
that's cool little
pinche-
story. My cousin took that pony in the back seat of his fucking Tahoe all the way to El Vergel. I don't know where he got it from, but to get it to El Vergel, he went in the back seat
not
of a
easy.
Tahoe. And it's not easy.
Ahorita la cuenta.
Tierra,
Ahorita la cuenta bien, la hija la chingada.
Ahorita la cuenta.
Pero vamos a recordar los tiempos de cuando usted andaba de charro.
de charro.
Vamos a
Todavía soy charro.
Para todos los charros que estén ahí escuchando y viendo a través de YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, enjoy today's. These are the kind of, yes sir. These are the kind of episodes that I really do enjoy
Yes, sir.
because I have no idea
We're going to learn.
about the subject.
We're going to learn.
So I love coming in ignorant to
You're gonna
this
learn
because I'm going to
today.
ask some dumb questions for you, just for you guys. I ain't dumb. Your questions and thoughts are dumb.
Because you were probably like, yeah, I was thinking the
Yeah,
same thing.
I just got to put the fucking dumb so in here right now. Yeah.
Telepathy right there, compa. They
But
pass you
le
the
queremos,
question.
le queremos dar la bienvenida aquí al buen amigo mi compa Agustín de Charros Talk. Sí.
Charros Talk Podcast.
Perfect. ¿Cómo está, compadre?
Muchas gracias de antemano por la invitación. It's a fucking pleasure to be here with you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for being here. I mean, you're technically, I know you were born here, but you're not from here right now, right?
Born and raised Chicago. Me fui a California a los 30 años, so este octubre cumplo 10 años viviendo ahí en California.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah, so it's been a minute.
okay. And then I didn't even ask before, but are you okay with Spanglish o quieres
Lo
que
que
vayamos más
sea.
español? O sea,
Lo que sea.
okay. Nosotros le hacemos
De los dos.
de los dos lenguajes.
Lenguajes.
Los dos lenguajes.
compa.
No me mire con esos pinches ojos atractivos, hijo de la chinga. Talk to me a little bit about you, bro. I mean, ¿cómo empezaste con lo de... Podemos hablar obviamente de tu podcast y también podemos hablar de lo que es el charro life, I guess you could say, right?
Claro. So, what do you prefer? What does your audience prefer, English or Spanish?
We're Spanglish. We're actually Spanglish. Como, if you want to speak Spanish, it's fine. You know, it
No,
don't
we can
matter.
do both. So, just a little bit of background knowledge. So, charrería, which translates into Mexican rodeo, es el deporte nacional de México. Mucha gente piensa que es el fútbol soccer, pero no. El fútbol se inventó en China. Muchas décadas, bueno, muchos años antes de que se inventara el juego de la pelota de los aztecas. So, charrería is basically where every form of rodeo in the world comes from. Y es básicamente el manejo del ganado, equino y bovino, meaning like all the cattle, the bulls, and the horses. So back in the day in Mexico, you would have these large haciendas with tens of thousands of acres, right, and tens of thousands of head of cattle. Y como se fue fomentando el deporte was one hacendado would have, you know, all these workers or ranchers, and then en las fiestas de cada pueblo, por decir, decían los hacendados, well, my riders are better than yours. Oh, well, let's see how that teams up, right? So así empezó la charrería, a ver quién tenía los mejores vaqueros, es donde viene el nombre. And with the time, it actually started turning into a sport, and I forget around what exact year, but then it became Mexico's national sport. It's in the Constitution and everything, so it's actually very legit. No más que el deporte no... Sí es un deporte caro, mucha gente que dice que es elitista, and it kind of is to a part. You know,
that makes sense.
just having a horse is extremely
that's
expensive,
fucking-
right?
yep.
I mean, just the outfit alone. I mean, right now sombreros are on the cheap end $800.
Just a sombrero.
Just a sombrero. So you're just talking about one part of the attire. We're not even getting to the horses, the ropes, el mantenimiento de los animales. It's expensive. It's really hard. So I think that that's been one of the biggest reasons why the sport hasn't grown as much. But
Is it fair to say it's a rich man sport?
it's a rich man's sport in the sense of the ownership.
Okay.
So los dueños de los equipos que tienen los caballos y el ganado, el rancho, el lienzo, all that, yeah, those are the rich people. But a lot of charros, the majority of charros and escaramuzas, you know, they're just average folks,
Yeah.
especially here in the U.S.
So,
I mean,
casi igual como cualquier deporte. Obviamente
Sí.
los dueños are the big guy, but everyone else is, you know, they're the love of the horse and everything, right?
yeah,
Okay,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. So I think just like in any other sport is, pues, entre más le echas ganas y demuestras tus habilidades, pues, más puertas abres para poder estar charreando, you know? So, you know, I've had the dicha, no porque soy bueno, pero por las amistades que tengo de poder estar en equipos donde, pues, te dan el caballo, te lo prestan for the
Sí.
season, you know?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people like that throughout the U.S. So I think that it's just like anything else in life. If querer es poder, you know?
Yeah.
And if you bust your ass and you make sacrifices, and, you know, you can open up a lot of doors.
Nice. Okay. And then when did you start with the charros or charrería?
So I started riding horses when I was 2 years old. Pero ya charreando en competencias, I don't know, maybe 12, 14. Not really, I don't really remember.
Okay.
I mean, it was just so many because when I started here in Chicago, there was maybe about 8 or 10 of us that were kids. Y pues nos ponían en charreadas lo que se llaman amistosas, where it wasn't not really like a tournament, it's just kind of like 2-3 teams getting together, kind of like a kickback.
Okay.
You know, kind of like, you know how you do a turkey ball on Thanksgiving. Te
Yeah,
juntas
yeah,
con
yeah.
los compas y...
Como una cáscara, ¿verdad?
Ándale,
O sea, yeah.
cascarear. También se le dice así,
Oh,
una
okay.
cascarita. Pero el nombre antes era los triangulares, which means 3 teams. And the way it used to work out, which is not like that anymore, we're trying to bring it back to the podcast in that tradition where, you know, one weekend one team would host and they would pay for everything. O sea, la comida, los animales, la música, y todos con la familia. And, you know, it's a family-oriented sport. At the end of the day, that's the most beautiful part about the sport, is that it's all family-based. Y tus amistades se convierten en familia because you spend so much time with them, you know?
Okay.
So that was the tradition de que un fin de semana un equipo y luego el otro y ahí se fue. Conforme va pasando el tiempo, the sport just starts growing more and more and more. And Vicente Fernandez was one of the first people to have a paid team in Mexico, donde le pagaban los charros. Antes era de like, oh, we're just friends, we're compas, y vente al equipo and this and that. But Vicente and this other guy, un dueño del equipo, no me acuerdo cómo se llama, pero el Triángulo de las Arenas, ese fue el primer señor que le empezó a pagar a charros. Like, hey, come ride for me professionally. I'll pay you a salary because I want my team to kick ass.
Now, who would they play against? Sorry.
Other charros. I mean, there's so many teams in Mexico.
So there is a whole bunch of teams.
Oh, yeah. I mean, en California, por decir, en California son casi ya 80 equipos.
Ah, la madre, okay.
Chicago, right now, I think it's 20-some teams here
Okay.
in Illinois. So in the U.S., you're talking over, I don't know, maybe 200 teams. There's
Okay.
a lot of states that are brand new. Georgia, I just rode in Tennessee 2 months ago. There's a lot of the East Coast is really picking up. So
Nice.
So I
Okay.
don't have the exact stats,
Yeah, yeah.
but I mean the interesting thing is that cuando yo me fui a California, la charrería se practicaba en 3 estados, and as of when did I find out? Maybe 3-4 months ago. By next year, we will be in 28 states.
Okay.
So now we're already talking half the country. So that's that goes to show you how much the sport has been growing.
I have a question on that. The charreria sport. Now, is this how do you accumulate points? Like, what is it within the sport? Like, how do you
Okay. So
explícame cómo trabaja ese rollo?
yeah. So el nombre La Charrería
Ajá.
es básicamente todo el estilo de vida because it's a lifestyle. It's not just a sport where it's just like hockey, La charrería tiene su comida, tiene su música. Es donde viene la música ranchera. I mean, you look at mariachi, that's kind of el traje del mariachi no es un traje de mariachi, es el traje de charro que con el tiempo it started changing until there's tiny little differences, that if you don't know, well, it's really hard to miss. So it really is a lifestyle because, and we've talked about on the podcast where it's like, before you even go into El Lienzo, which is the arena where we participate, como you guys been to La Herradura, you guys been to El Consuelo, out here there's so much stuff you have to know beforehand. I mean, just knowing how to be around animals, that's I think the fundamental basis is cómo reconocer cuando un caballo está de buenas o de malas, and when to get on, how to get on, like all those, little details. So as far as the sport itself, en una charreada, because that's an individual competition, inside of a charreada, there's 9 events. Okay? Son 9 suertes, pero son 10 faenas. What does that mean? It means that in one suerte, there's 2 sections to it.
Okay.
Okay? So the way it works is that it's a team-oriented sport. Y haz de cuenta que cada equipo manda un representante, un charro, a participar en X suerte. And, each event gets, a point system. And at the end of the charreada, the team with the most points wins.
Right.
So the way it works in tournaments, which is what's most common nowadays, son torneos de una ronda, which means you have a 1-round elimination, and you go into, let's say, a tournament of 18 teams. Each team competes, and they do their participation because it's in a strictly offensive-only sport. There's no defense.
Right.
So if you guys are, if you're like each one of us is a team, right? Los tres estamos en una charreada. Well, I'm not, getting in your way when you're participating.
Yeah,
right now.
es el que.
Everybody
Yeah.
says-
Because
do
you're
their thing.
technically competing against yourself and the animal, more or less yourself, ¿verdad? Because you're not really competing with the animal; you're going with the animal. And what happens in most tournaments is, well, at the end of their elimination round, the team with the most points wins. Usually, top 3 points are the teams that get a monetary compensation or whatever it is that they're given. Each tournament's different.
Right. Y las suertes exactamente qué son esas?
Let's pull up, if we can get a chance, we'll pull up a video. I think it'll be easier for
Yeah.
audience to understand.
Correct. And me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I just want like I don't know if I'm confusing in my head if 9 suertes means like 9 tries to the same
Yeah,
thing.
actually, yeah, exactly. So
Okay, so it's not 9 different things. It's just 9 tries to the same
no. So it's 9 different events.
like challenges or whatever.
yeah,
Okay.
so to speak. So think of it kind
So
of
cada
like
suerte es un diferente.
una diferente disciplina.
Okay, correct.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you get 1 try per suerte?
No. So in Cala, it's 1. Piales, it's 3. Colas, it's 3. Toto's 1. Terna, it's 2.
Hell yeah, you're gonna have to explain
yeah,
all those.
yeah,
Well,
we're
that's
gonna-
badass.
yeah.
I like that. Okay.
We're
I
gonna-
didn't see. I had no idea about that.
Yeah.
right.
And I think once he pulls up the
Yeah,
video.
you put it up right now.
So, and there's more suertes to it, but I think
Yeah.
it's going to be a lot easier to show you. Actually, so we'll watch a really quick clip. So this is just a quick summary, and esto es en México. Este es en un lienzo en Tlajumulco de Zúñiga, Jalisco. Eso es ahora sí con los profesionales. I believe the clips from this charreada from the torneo, el Campeonato Millonario, which is the #1 tournament in the whole world because of its level of difficulty with because of the cattle that they
Yeah.
bring in. It's a lot harder. The bulls are bigger. The horses are stronger. So what we'll do is,
Ahora, hijo de la chinga.
I mean,
Para la gente que se ve escuchando en Spotify, we're just looking at a video here. Agustin is showing us kind of like a little recap of what it entitled. So, you have to learn how to do the rope thing too, huh?
not necessarily. So one of the reasons why the whole ranch life has gotten, you can stop it here. One of the reasons why the whole ranch life has gotten so big is Telepaisa. I mean, this is my theory.
Is that still going on? Telepaisa?
Yeah, Telepaisa is huge.
Huge
dude.
in Mex, right?
It's
También
all
aquí.
over the world. All over
Yeah,
the world.
yeah.
It's huge. They're based out of Cicero.
I remember Telepaisa, but I
Yeah.
don't know why I haven't seen them recently.
I don't know. I mean, I don't follow them that much,
Yeah.
but yeah, they started out here in Cicero.
Yep.
Son de Zacatecas. Creo que son de Jerez, si no mal
And they
recuerdo.
blew it up.
Yeah, I think they did. This is my theory. My theory is that en Zacatecas es muy reconocido el coleadero, which is what I'm assuming you guys have seen going so many times de Herradura.
Yeah, I was going to ask that question next, actually.
Yeah.
Like, give me the big difference between both, but you can go ahead and
Yeah.
keep going with it.
So I think what happened was in las ferias de Jerez, because it's a big party y está lo del charro.
Yeah.
I think with time I think people started seeing la peda, la pachanga, and people just started going, and the whole ranch life started getting big because 15, 16 years ago, pues, you didn't see many people que de rancho, and now it's everybody.
It's the cool thing.
Everybody
We've
is
we've
about
talked
it.
about it a bunch of times.
Yeah.
About how, well, with the youth generation, it's pretty cool to see actually that they're getting more into the rancho lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean it's a huge part of our culture. I mean, at one point in Mexico, everybody wore sombreros, and everybody was about that ranch life because that's what Mexico was. Era puro rancho. With time it became into the city. So it is cool to see. It's cool to see that there's all this new found passion for it. But there's definitely a very big difference, and that's kind of what with the podcast we try to do is just kind of educate people on Mexico's national sport and what our culture really is all about.
Yeah.
You know.
Y eso de Telepaisa, I know they pretty much brought a lot of attention to the sport or to the, to the charro life. Pero tell me how you think that, because I'm just trying to word it right. Like, give me the big difference between, because I seen a lot of the stuff that I've seen at coleaderos, right? So is it like a big difference?
So essentially, el coleadero, as what it's called, that
Uh-huh.
is the formal name of one of the events. It's the third
Of one of the suertes.
of one of the suertes. Exactly,
Got
one of the suertes is una charreada. It's the
Okay.
third one. I believe it became so popular because of Telepaisa, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that to just kind of start, all you really need to know is how to ride a horse. You don't really need to know how to usar la soga, how to florear. It's a very, I would say, like a gateway event to getting into the charrería world. And I've had a lot of guests que empezaron en coleaderos, and someone would take them to charrería, and they're like, oh, this is kind of, it's a little bit more organized. It's an actual competition. A lot of coleaderos que se le llaman coleaderos libres, which is what you typically see here in La Herradura, but it's not really prizes. It's just kind of everyone's just going out and having fun, which is cool. It's
Yeah.
a great way to get people involved. Ya en una charreada, pues sí, ya es competencia, and there's rules.
There's
Even
rules, yeah,
even in el vestuario, in the atuendo, there's certain ways you have to dress, and there's certain colors you can't use.
Oh, shit, really?
Yeah, absolutely. So
For
like,
example?
neon colors.
Okay.
They're
Bright
prohibited.
colors.
Son colores se le llaman serios o naturales. So your grays, your navy blues, your browns, stuff like that.
Okay.
I mean, you can have reds and stuff like that, pero no pueden ser colores fluorescentes, like really bright. Mostly, I would say neon is the
Yeah.
easier way to describe the general term for the colors.
Okay. Is that the animal? Porque no.
¿Mande?
Por el caballo?
You know what? I don't know what it is. I think it's more of a traditional thing.
Okay.
Que pues antes los colores eran básicos, So I think it's just more or less keeping the tradition,
Sí te puedo preguntar, entonces, las 9 suertes, si la cola es una, ¿cuáles son los otros 8?
Let's. I just sent Fry a clip for the first one. If you want to go through a whole charreada, which we can go through
I
it
mean,
quickly.
yeah, nomás para más o menos saber si la voy a hacer o no.
Oh, we can get you.
I'm fucking around.
Oh,
Yeah, I've seen this
is
one too.
I love.
So, en ese qué rollo, Agustín, aquí es el que, I mean, I know this guy, look, he's doing fucking,
So what we're watching is called La Cala del Caballo.
la cala del caballo.
La Cala del
Okay.
Caballo. So what it is basically, traditionally, los hacendados tenían a sus vaqueros, sus charros, que les arrendaban los caballos, which means to train the horses.
Okay.
Okay. So el día de la fiesta, de la charreada, pues el arrendador, el charro, el vaquero, le presentaba al hacendado, el dueño del equipo, perdón, de la hacienda, which is now translating to the patrones, the owners of the teams. Here's your horse, it's ready. And basically, in a general synopsis of this event, is basically to showcase the abilities of the horse.
What he has taught him.
Yeah, what he has
Yeah.
taught him. Yeah.
Nice.
So there's certain disciplines. So the way a lienzo charro is designed is a keyhole. You have a circle and you have a rectangle.
Right.
So la parte de atrás del lienzo se llama el partidero, all the way at the back. So entra el cuadro. This is what's painted in white. He'll take his horse all the way to the back, and then he'll bring him in, running. When it gets into the cuadro, the object is to get the horse to slide. Okay.
Right. Okay.
So the more the horse slides, the more points he gets.
The more he slides, the more points.
Yeah. So
Okay.
we'll watch it.
Pero si se pasa o algo, is there like the lines, do they signify anything? Like
Yeah.
he can't go past that shit or
He
something?
can't go past it to the sides. Forward, no problem, but to the
Okay.
sides, yeah. And that's another big
Ahí,
problem.
boom.
Yeah. So that ahí casi recorre lo que se llama todo el cuadro. So this is just him,
Yeah, he don't care que se pasó la línea.
No.
This
No
is just
pasa nada.
him. Yeah.
If we would have gone to the sides, yeah, is descalificado. And the reason why is because, well, you're trying to teach the horse to run straight.
Oh, I see
you know?
what's going on. I never paid attention, way honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen this before.
Have
I've
you?
seen this before, yeah.
Yeah,
for
I've seen
sure.
it before, but I didn't know
That's what
like
it
the
was,
more
yeah,
he just
the
the horse
drag.
just
Yeah.
dragged it. Yeah.
So, and then what happens too is, you see how the horse was sliding on his back legs, right?
Right.
Entre menos levanta las patas, más puntos.
No, pues ese güey ganó.
No, he'll get a really high score for sure. Es muy reconocido, tiene muy buenos caballos, Alejandro Goñi, que le mando saludos.
Is this another suerte or is this
No,
just,
this todos tienen suerte. What he's basically showing now is that the horse can spin 360 both sides. You have to show to the left and to the right.
Yeah, well, he's pivoted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty
yeah,
cool.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
That's, I'm,
pivoted.
I'm glad you caught that.
Yep.
So entre menos se desplaza el caballo, desplaza
Yeah.
means without moving his foot.
with an unpivoting? Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like in basketball, when you position and you pivot.
He
if
can't
you were,
travel, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if he were to move his foot, it's kind of like traveling.
So this is another suerte then.
No, this is still, we're still in
This
the same
is still the
suerte.
same,
We're still in the same
sliding.
suerte. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
So we're
Sorry.
still in la cala de caballo. Yeah. So again,
Okay, y aquí no hay nada que ver con las líneas. En esta
see, las líneas, the two that you see here
Uh-huh.
in the middle,
Yeah.
I'll explain that in a second.
Okay.
Because he's going to do right now what's called los medios. So he did the 360 turn,
Yeah.
and now he's going to do a half 80 turn. So the horse should try to stay within those
That's what
within
that's
those
for.
lines. Yeah. Typically, I mean, si se sale un poquito, it's
Sí,
fine
sí,
because
yeah.
it's natural. I mean, you can't. It's not a machine. You can't force the horse to
Right.
fit exactly in.
A ver, so
Obviamente,
ya hizo la
sí.
pinche 360, ahora viene la 180.
La meta es tratar de llegar a la perfección, pero es muy difícil. Es
Oh,
muy
shit.
complicado. Yeah. So basically, the reasons why the horse move like this is cuando estás en el campo and something were, a snake or something were to spook you, your horse needs to be like quick to move.
jump,
Yeah. So that's what la rienda charra is. And la montura charra is actually the best working saddle for any kind of discipline or anything having to do with cattle.
Montura charra,
La
okay.
montura charra es la mejor. Originally, the American saddle, right now that we see with the horn, the smaller horn,
Okay.
that was originally la montura charra. Pero lo que pasó fue cuando empezaron a traer más ganado pesado, ganado que viene de África, de Europa. So you ever seen those big bulls with the joroba?
Mhm.
Okay, those bulls come from Africa. They started mixing those bulls with Brahma bulls. So now you're starting to get really, really big bulls, which is what you see typically in American rodeo. If you try to rope those bulls with those little horns, sometimes you'll snap that horn. With these bigger saddles, la montura charra que está más angosta, it's a lot harder. So it's more of a working saddle, and the saddle has developed over the years to meet those necessities, to be able to work cattle out in the open fields. So that culminates that suerte.
Okay.
What are your
yeah.
What are your thoughts on it?
Bro, that's an interesting one. I mean, this is something that I've seen before.
Yeah.
The El Caballo dragging the back feet. The vuelta. Honestly, I'm so dumb. I think the vueltas, which is part of. I see these motherfuckers dance arriba pichátaro, and they go in vueltas. So I'm like, fuck, está zapateando.
bailando,
Está echando vuelta el güey. Pero
Parte del-
I've seen it. It's badass that you explain what they're doing and why they're doing it. The why they're doing the 180. Never thought about that. The snakes and getting bit, or just fucking wanting to turn back around right away, right? Like,
Yeah, if se te viene un toro, I mean, you want to be able to move quickly so the
yeah,
bull doesn't
that's
hit the horse.
fucking awesome. I never even.
I
Thought
mean, the
about
crazy part is that it just went from the discipline of the horses to it becoming a sport. You
Yeah.
know, hey, look what mine can do. You know,
Y me imagino
that's nuts.
que es como todo, ¿verdad? O sea, vi al animal, al caballo, lo peinan, obviamente, pues porque lo aman al caballo.
Claro,
Sí.
claro.
No es como no lo tienen que peinar, por decir, ¿verdad?
No, so a big misconception with animal protectors is that they think it's abuse, but it's like if you guys just knew how much we spend money wise in a week manteniendo un caballo, not to mention the actual amount of time that you spent with them
But
taking
what do
care
they
of them.
consider abuse? Like the charrería, you mean?
I think a lot of animal protectors think that all disciplines involving animals
Oh,
is
just
abuse,
discipline itself.
but a lot of it is just ignorance, which by definition, ignorance just means not having knowledge on the subject.
Yeah.
So técnicamente todo humano es ignorante en algún tema. You know, I mean, I don't know shit about astrophysics, so I'm ignorant to that topic. You know, so desafortunadamente en nuestra cultura mexicana, we tend to take that word in a very negative connotation,
I
but
agree.
that's not what it means.
I agree.
It doesn't mean that at all. So I think a lot of them they just don't understand. And the most beautiful thing about the sport is not the sport itself. It's the connection that you build with these animals. You know, I mean, I've seen tons of grown ass men cry when their horses die, like little kids, because you build an insane connection. These animals become part of your family. You know, a lot of horses, a lo mejor el papá lo tenía, and then it turns into his kid's horse, and then maybe even his grandkid's horse. And that's the beauty of this lifestyle, is to be able to have that connection with the animals and with nature
Yeah.
itself. But Cala is one of the events that ahorita hay tantos caballos profesionales que están arrendados a un nivel or trained it to such a great level que se le llaman caballos automáticos. We can take you to a ranch right now and put you on horses, and in half an hour you'll be doing that. Because the horses just already know. You're kind of just going on there and you're hitting cruise control.
Right.
So,
Push and play, like let's start, boom, and it's gonna do it. Yeah.
Wow.
yeah. So this is going to be the second suerte. This is one of my favorites, called Piales en el Lienzo. So,
Piales en el lienzo.
Yeah.
Okay.
so this happens in the neck part of the arena.
Oh, I seen this too before.
So what happens is, if you're listening to this and you visualize a rectangle, you have a charro on a horse facing one of the walls, que se llama la manga, la pared de la manga,
Okay.
this side here, and you have a wild horse coming out of a straight chute, and the horse runs straight. The object here is to rope the horse from the back legs and get it to stop.
Both
Wha-
legs.
Yeah, the back legs. Only the
back,
back,
yeah.
not the front. Why does this happen? So cada suerte en la charrería tiene un propósito. It's a ranching technique that is still used to this days, even on American ranches. It's just the thing is, we just don't see it because a lot of this stuff happens out, you know, out
Just
in the
on a
mountains and the
normal day.
fields, and
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
just
on a
normal
normal
work.
day.
Exactly. So we don't get to see it, but. So what happens is, when he throws a rope and he wraps around the head of the saddle, que se llama el fuste, o la cabeza de la montura charra, the friction between the rope and the head of the saddle, where your hand is, you kind of start to get a little fire, and the rope basically grinds down into the head of the saddle, which is made partially of wood. So por eso sale todo el humo.
Todo el humo.
Ahora, la soga, que se llaman sogas de Isla de Maguey, pues vienen de la misma planta donde viene el tequila. So they actually take the hoja and they spread it into thin hairs, and then they roll it up and turn it into a rope.
Wow.
And that's why, and that smell is amazing.
Yeah.
And you can't really replicate that scent unless you do it like this, because of the material of the rope and the material of the head of the saddle. So why do they do this out in the open fields? Well, because back then, when they didn't have corral systems, if you needed to vaccinate a horse, you needed to brand it, or you just needed to treat it for whatever reason, pues, ¿cómo lo paras si estás en un campo libre where hundreds of acres? How do you stop if you don't have corral systems? So this is how they invented it. And when they would stop the horse, everyone else would run up, grab the horse, and then, take care of it. But now it's turned into the sport that it is. Se le apoda la suerte de los dedos mochos.
Yeah, because you
Me imagino.
get your fingers caught
Yeah,
in there.
yeah.
It's over.
Yeah, so what happens is your vueltas de la soga, meaning each loop, these ropes are between 28 to 32 loops, it's the longest rope inside of en el mundo charro. There's 3 different types, or 4, I'm sorry. 4 different types con las de arreo. But what happens is when you wrap the rope around the head of the saddle, sale el humo. But the thing is, if your loops aren't perfectly, se viene lo que se llama una vuelta. But because of the smoke, and you have to watch the horse, because you have to know whether you're vas a apretar la mano o la vas aflojando, to stop the horse. Because the object is to stop the wild horse in 90 meters. So,
okay.
So if your loop is wrong, what happens is you'll get a coil, and it'll wrap around the head of the saddle, and it'll grab you, and goodbye thumb.
Ooh.
And it can lead to more things. I mean, there's tons of accidents where guys go flying out of the saddle with the horse, without the horse. Se cae el caballo encima. I mean, it's a very, very dangerous event. It looks easy because the pros make it look easy. And then that's another thing that can happen. That rope snaps and it can smack you in the face. I saw a guy once almost lose his eye because no agachó la cabeza, so the sombrero didn't protect him. There, he missed.
Y aquí qué rollo? The sooner he goes down, the better, or does it not matter as long as he's just?
So the object is just to stop the horse antes de los 90 metros.
Yeah, that's.
De donde sale el caballo a donde there's a line painted
Sí, vi las
en el
líneas.
ruedo.
Yeah, pero preguntaba.
De esos son 90 metros. So you have
No
to stop
importa
it.
si es, o sea,
No,
mucho
no,
antes o
no.
mucho,
No. That
con
doesn't-
que
that doesn't
lo
matter.
pares.
No, that doesn't matter as long as you stop.
And then how about if I seen one horse? Excuse again, right? Do they usually just kind of like buckle out of it, like the horse, the back feet, or?
No, some horses are strong and they'll take the rope. I mean, this is one of the most famous lienzos in Mexico, and they got really famous because of look at these horses.
Yeah.
They're gigantic.
Because I seen one motherfucker just kept going on
Yeah.
his 2 legs.
Yeah, they
the
keep
front
going.
legs.
I mean, esos se llaman, para los que conocen la charrea, estamos viendo el video de Rancho El Pitayo. Las yeguas se llaman las pitayas. I mean, they're fucking monster horses. They're gigantic. I mean,
Yeah, that one
look
was
at
huge.
look at this one compared to the one that they're roping. I mean, they're really hard, and that lienzo became really famous because of that. So that's taking the sport to a whole other level.
¿Y más o menos cuánta gente aquí en este lienzo, bro?
¿Capacidad?
Sí, más o menos, yeah.
Oh, I don't know, maybe 3,000.
Okay. Y se llena,
Maybe.
güey.
Sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
In some charreas, it'll get packed. Yeah, for sure. It just depends on the tournament. They're really known too for taking really good bandas and charreadas and mariachi. So, that always packs the house. I mean, you guys know that.
Yeah. Y obviamente, pues el caballo de he's on también tiene que estar igual trained to know that
Sí,
this is
claro,
going on and everything.
Claro. O
Oh,
sea,
that's the one que se reventó.
yeah. Porque un caballo que no sabe, pues se va a defender. And they're going to take off. That's unfortunately,
Look
that's
at them motherfuckers, babe.
that's
yeah.
some- that's something that unfortunately happens with coleaderos is that we have people that get horses just to buy horses, pero no están entrenados.
Yeah.
And you have cattle that knows how to defend itself, and maybe you have a rider that doesn't fully know how to ride a horse that's not properly trained, and that's where accidents are going to happen.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you play football, and if you don't know how to put your shoulder into someone, you can
You or him. Yeah, right.
yeah, you can really fuck up your neck. You
Yeah,
know?
well, obviously the big part of it is you being connected to your animal,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it
What do you
knows
consider,
you're thinking and all that
We'll go
good
to the
stuff.
next one right now.
Yeah.
Nomás para ahorita que me entró la curiosidad, I'm like, obviously there's shit ton of practice, it looks like. What is a good amount of practice when you're doing this, like at this level?
A ese,
Every day,
a ese nivel de los profesionales, sí. Esos compas practican al diario. I think they usually take 1, maybe 2 days off in a week.
Yeah.
Usually not. I mean, es que depende del equipo. So, for example, Vicente Fernandez's team, se llama Los Tres Potrillos. They're the most recognized team. Esos cabrones charrean 3 veces a la semana. You're talking about competing. Practicing, I mean, every day.
Every day, yeah.
They get 1 day off usually. So now we're going to watch a coleadero.
Okay. That's
So now we're actually going to watch Suerte Coleadero.
So they were on the third
We're on
suerte
the third
kind of
one,
thing, right? Okay.
I would forward a little bit, Fry. Yeah, because I don't know what's going on here. Un poquito más. Keep moving the cursor now. I'll tell you when. It was the first video I found. Vete. Right there we go. Right there. Anywhere there. So this is what most people know.
Esto es lo que
Yeah.
es más popular aquí en Chicago, pues, por lo menos aquí en Chicago. ¿verdad?
No, en
En muchas, en
No,
todas-
no,
en
Mexico,
ambos
right?
países. Yeah. And actually, colear is practiced in Brazil, Colombia, Argentina, Bolivia, I think Chile too. Cada año, no me acuerdo cómo se llama la organización, creo que se llama el Mundo del Coleo. Every year they do a worldwide coleadero and they
Damn.
change countries.
Really?
This year it was in Venezuela. But
y con el mismo concepto, ellos también se visten
No.
igual o no? No,
No,
pero sí colean,
colear.
obviamente. Okay.
So colear is basically to drop the bull, grab the bull by the tail and drop it.
Right.
Why does this happen? Because there's a lot of controversy.
A ver.
So
Yes, there is. Let's talk about that
So
real quick.
the
actually.
reason why this suerte happens is, have you guys ever heard of the cattle mentality?
A ver.
You guys
No.
never heard it? Okay. But you guys have heard that if you go to a theater, you're not supposed to yell fire, right?
El theater, okay?
At a theater or anywhere, right?
Yep.
Why do they say that? Do you guys know?
I would assume
Cause-
so that
not to cause panic.
Because what happens? Everybody
Yeah.
runs, right?
to the
Okay.
exit, yeah.
So it's a similar concept in the sense that cuando tienes una manada, meaning a big group of animals, muchas veces una vaca, un toro se separa
Right.
de la manada. Before they invented ropes, you would go grab the bull or the cow, you drop it, and what happens is it goes back to the herd. So that way it's easier to move the herd. So there, like I said, every event has a purpose. It's not just someone just woke up one day and invented it. O sea, hay un propósito.
Yeah, they didn't wake up and say we want to hurt the.
Yeah. No. Especially, like, that's the other thing that people don't understand is, like,
Because that's the big controversy right now, right?
it's the
I
big
mean-
controversy, but it's like, you know how much it costs to rent bulls in our modern society?
Yeah.
Cada vez que hacen un coleadero, you're talking, I don't know, depending on the type of cattle, but you're talking in the thousands.
Oh, for sure.
And si por decir, llega a romper un toro, breaks a leg or something were to happen, because just like any other sport, athletes have accidents and have injuries. Well, guess what? Whoever's participating has to pay for that bull, for the ganadero. Why? Because that cattle is used for the meat that we consume. And if you're dropping them, you're hurting it, well, it starts losing weight, so its value in the market drops. So the last thing we want to do is hurt the animals. We want to continue our cultural practices, but we don't want to hurt the animals. It costs way too much money. And first of all, and secondly, we actually love the animals. That's another very big misconception with animal activists, is that they say that, we don't love the animals, but it's like, you talk to animal activists, it's like, well, how many animals do you have? None. Majority. And there's that stat is actually on PETA's website. I looked it up years ago and I checked it again this year. Majority of PETA members don't even have animals. So
Damn.
How do you love them?
So how do you love something you don't have?
Yeah.
And especially, how do you compare something to, por decir, este deporte que desde bebé puedes andar a caballo? I mean, there's thousands and thousands of pictures where, as a child, you have a kid and you have your, your baby on the horse with you,
Y aquí, ¿cuál es like the rule? You need to get them down by what length?
So, aquí donde está el partidero, where the ball comes
Yep.
out. So, de ahí, a donde se acaba la manga, la pared aquí de este lado izquierdo, son 60 metros.
Okay.
The object is to is saludar, which is put your hand up to dale al sombrero, which is the round part of the sombrero. Pachonear el toro, which means slap el lomo, or it's the back or its butt. The reason you do that is to kind of see if the bull's gonna buck or not. Because if you're gonna try to grab by the tail and it bucks, it's gonna kick you. And you can break your hand. So it's kind of like testing
yeah,
the
yeah.
waters, right? And kind of letting the animal know. Then you grab it by the tail, wrap it around your leg, and then drop it.
I did see them tap it, and I'm like, I mean,
It's-
I never even thought about that.
Es
either.
para
Yeah, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Tell you
Yeah.
the truth, I've seen coleaderos all my life, and I've never noticed that or,
Yeah.
had that knowledge about it.
Es que la charrería es un deporte muy complicado por el hecho de que it's a rural practice. So, in our modern society, how many people have ranches? How many people have horses?
Yeah,
I mean, it's starting to grow now more and more, but
not many. I
but
mean,
yeah, but in
Yeah.
the macro sense, in the general sense, pues no. It's a small percentage of the population, even though it just keeps growing and growing and growing. So there's a proper way to drop a bull as well. Se llama una redonda de buen lado. So when the bull rolls to the opposite side of the horse, the way the bull's body is designed is kind of like this. So when it rolls, you're not hurting it because it's actually its natural inertia to fall. And bulls fall like this out in the open all the time. If you go out to a cattle ranch and that they're fighting and that they're running around and they trip, they fall like that all the time. It happens on a daily basis. This isn't something that doesn't happen.
Right.
And I think over the years, just like anything else with genetics, like humans have adapted. I think animals adapt as well too to their climate and their day-to-day lifestyle. So I think that's why their bodies are formed like that and why it's the safest way to drop them. The way that you drop the bull too is if the more perfect. Did you see how he kicked right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why.
Yeah.
So he didn't get to roll over, but the way that the bull drops, you also get a certain amount of additional points because at the end of the day, the object is to care for the animal. It's not to harm it; it's to care for it. So ahí cae de media. Media porque cae de medio lado, no da la,
No da el
la
full,
vuelta. Yeah, no da la redonda vuelta. He doesn't.
Y si le arrancas la cola, agarras puntos más o cómo es esta?
Yeah, you do get punished for that.
Oh, you get punished. It's a
Yeah.
penalty.
Punished in the sense of points.
Deducting points.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So again, everything is por el bienestar de los animales, but it is definitely the most controversial event that we have.
It
right
is,
now.
man. And I mean, would you say that the rebuttal to that on your guys, like the horse-loving people, is just more of a they don't really understand that it's like a ranch life. It's not really like a mistreating of them.
Yeah, I mean it can look abusive sometimes. I definitely understand that part, but it's the same thing with any discipline. I mean, if your kid's into boxing, and you go watch your kid spar, it's like, well, that's kind of like abuse, isn't it?
Do Americans colear?
Not like that, but I haven't seen anything with cowboys. I've heard that they do something similar to it.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, it's basically dropping. En todos los países de Sudamérica sí se hace. Nomás que it's different. So, like in Colombia, Bolivia, Argentina, they tend to grab the bull by both hands and drop them. And the way that they prize it is different. Si cae redonda de este lado as opposed to this side, they get more points. But that's a cultural difference.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's still the same concept of rolling the bull to prevent it from harming it.
How is the coleadero or how's the colas out in California? Are they having a lot of controversy? Are they getting shut down like they are here, or not as much, or what is it?
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, I think what was really popular is a couple months ago in LA County, they're trying to close all equestrian sports. Anything related with animals, they're trying to close all those sports.
Right.
But it would cause the city more economic damage than good, because what happens is you have an economic trickle effect. The comparison I always talk about is ¿sí conocen las corridas de toros, bullfighting?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's very big in Portugal. And in 2013, they made them illegal. Well, 3 years later, they started seeing their economy drop. And I think it dropped like 33, 34%, something like that. Ironically, about 60 to 70% of the people that used to protest in 6 to 8 months didn't have a job. And they couldn't figure out what it was for years. Like, well, what the hell's going on? And then someone's like, oh, well, we got rid of this cultural practice that brings in tourism. And it's not just tourism, it's the people who work at the plazas de toros, the people who produce the feed for the bulls, diesel, truck sales. I mean, it's a whole economy, right? So they've tried shutting it down in LA. Bendito sea Dios, no pasó nada. They're trying to revise the bill. But at the end of the day, I think it would do everybody more harm than good.
More of a disservice.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. I mean, we learned that in Portugal. We learned it recently in Mexico, también en la Ciudad de México, en la plaza de toros más grande del mundo, la Plaza México. They made it illegal for a couple of years. Same thing. They found the economic trickle of how it affected people. I think it was last year or this year, no me acuerdo. Hicieron la primera corrida de toros, and it's packed. Next thing you know, sales are through the roof. People are back to work because of this industry and that industry that are either directly related to the industry or indirectly affected by it. So I think that when you have something that's a cultural practice that's been practiced for so long, I think that we just need to find a better way to take care of the animals and better ways of continuing the tradition. You know what I mean? And I think one of the biggest things is education, and that's the main mission of Charro Talk podcast is to educate people about our culture, the sport, and also the well-being and the welfare of the animals.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how PETA would how they think about it, right? Because they're gonna be like, well, it's not an American culture, you know.
But it is now.
Well, yeah, it became one, right?
Yeah. It
With the
became
people,
one,
yeah. It's gonna be interesting. I mean, America, they're fucking weird with animals, man. They fucking love them.
But if you think about it, a dog is a descendant of a wolf,
Right?
and wolves are wild animals.
Yes.
So why do we have these animals caged up? You know, no porque la jaula sea dura no deja de ser jaula.
No, totalmente.
O así como dice la canción de los Tucanes, right? Something like that.
Esa,
Yeah, that refrán, that's where that comes. I think
Ramón Ayala.
was it Ramon Ayala?
También a lo mejor Tucanes para no
Yeah,
Ramón.
I mean,
gana
one of
la
those songs.
Jaula de
Yeah,
Oro.
I remember. But I mean, it's a fact. I mean, you know, you look at cats. I mean, they come from lions and tigers and shit, and
Yeah.
they're inside of a house all day. And then what happens with cats? Cats constantly escape, and they want to be out and about. They come back, but they're still out and about. So what does that tell you?
So is that part of the thing that they don't like that they're caged up? They want them to be free and roaming, or what?
There's actually a sector that broke off of PETA that I don't remember the name, but they're trying to make all animals, even like your dogs and cats at home, be free. Like these people are crazy. They don't understand the problem that would cause. I mean, Mexico goes through that every year con tantos perros en la
The
calle.
stray dogs, right?
You know?
Yeah.
And there's projects like I have a friend who has a project called Mexi Mutt, and she goes to Mexico and she finds dogs down the streets, and then she finds some people out here in the U.S. that will adopt them.
Oh,
So
shit.
they'll take care of them out in Mexico. If they're injured or they're whatever problems that they have, they fix them, and then she brings them over here. Which is a pretty cool project, you know.
Mexi
Yeah.
Mutt.
Mexi, let me find out.
That's a pretty cool name.
I mean, yeah, we just connected recently. She found the podcast as well.
What's going on?
It's called Mexi
Seriously,
Mutt
yeah.
Project.
Oh, okay. My Siri's going crazy over here, compadre. I don't know why. I didn't even touch it. Hold on, guys. Sorry. Apologize.
Yeah,
What are you doing? Siri, shut the fuck up.
yeah.
It's one of
God
PETA's
damn
members.
it. Yeah, they're fucking trying
PETA
to
hacked
work
into your
our
phone.
shit. I literally didn't even touch it.
Tap.
It picked up on somebody's voice saying some shit.
Yeah.
Peter's
PETA.
on the way.
Peter's like, stop hurting the animals. Look at the bulls. Shut the fuck up, Siri. You too, Peter. All right, what do we got next here?
So now we got Jineteo Toro, bull
Which is
riding.
another controversial thing.
So that's
But
a
why
ver-
is the PBR so big?
Well, no, you know what? Not specifically that, but like los toros. What do they call it? Like the fucking guys that horn the caballos.
So it is, what you're talking about is el arte del rejoneo, which is a branch of las corridas de toro, which the general term is called la tauromaquia. So that's a whole different world.
Okay.
That has nothing to do with us.
This
There's a lot of cultural references because it comes from Spain, and you know we're descendants of the Spaniards. Pero esos
Spaniards.
son dos disciplinas completamente distintas. So this
Y
is just
esto
bull
es,
riding. So la
la montada, como se
sí,
llama.
jinetear toros.
Jinetear, okay.
Yeah. So what I would say a lot of people recognize is the jaripeos. What's the
Correct.
biggest difference between jinetear un toro al estilo jaripeo y el estilo charro is en el jaripeo se usan toros más grandes that are professionally trained to buck. All these bulls are taught, and this is their natural discipline.
This is
And
what
when
they do for a
somebody
living.
gets on top of them.
They're gonna
Buck
buck.
time,
Yeah,
right?
they're trained for that. That's what they're born for. But the biggest difference as far as the jaripeos and the charros is la espuela. So
La espuela.
la espuela,
Okay.
the spur.
Yep.
So I'm not trying to throw jaripeos under the table. on
Just
this
throw
one.
it. It won't be hate.
So los jinetes de jaripeo usan espuelas que they're nicknamed ganchos. So they're like hooks. There's a lot of controversy because the spur
Because of
goes
that.
into the skin.
Right.
What a lot of people don't understand is that a bull's skin is insanely thick. And if you go to jaripeo, you really don't ever see bulls bleeding. Why? Because the spur isn't, it's not hitting the muscle. It's not hitting veins. It's just a layer of skin. So no les duele. Ya sí, o sea, does it occasionally happen? Yeah, if you stick your foot in there really, really hard. But that's not what they do. So the
And what's-
reason why you see guys in jaripeos ride with no hands is because they're
I was
locked in.
just gonna say, is
'Cause
that
they're
is that
locked in.
hook? Because they're hooked
They're
in.
locked in, yeah. So La espuela charra y la espuela americana,
No hay.
the round thing that spins that you hear like the cling, 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 eso se llama la rodaja. So it's the circular part of the spur.
Yeah.
In el rodeo americano y el charro, they let you lock the spur a quarter turn. So the spur can turn a little bit, but it's not fully turned and it's not fully locked in. Why do they do that? Because riding a bull is essentially using your core, your shoulders, and your inner thighs.
Right.
So it's more skilled than it is actual muscle. If you actually if you watch, I mean, you mentioned the PBR. Most PBR riders are skinny. They're not ripped
Yeah.
dudes. And what happens is when you have too much muscle, because there's very few cowboys and charros that are jacked because it's too much. You have to be more limber, and it's more about going with the flow of the bull.
Flexibility, todo, ¿verdad? Yeah.
So cuando te enseñan a montar un toro desde niño, dicen, véale la cabeza al toro, and wherever the bull goes is your instinct. You're going with the flow. The second you second guess yourself, that's when accidents happen. Yeah. So the biggest difference is the spur.
There you go,
I
Bart.
like that move right there. He was getting ready.
The other difference is that in American rodeo you ride 8 seconds.
Yeah.
En una charreada debes de montar el toro hasta que deje de reparar.
Para que se canse, hijo de
Yeah.
la
So
chingada.
if he goes 30 seconds, your ass should be under 30 seconds. In certain tournaments in charrería, ya como se ha hecho tan profesional el deporte, like in this tournament, pues meten toros ya lo que se llaman toros jugados, which are son más toros de jaripeo that are professionally trained. In charreadas traditionally, pues se usaban toros limpios, which back in the Hacienda days, it's like, hey, whatever rule, you get on that and good luck, see what happens, you know? So, but now with these monster bulls, it's like, pues lo ponen, le aplican la regla de 8 segundos.
Su pinche madre, vámonos a agarrar, hijo de la chingada.
And typically the bulls don't go after the jinetes. They typically don't because they're already trained to go back.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
see how the bull doesn't look for the guy? He's looking more or less like where he's supposed to go. Right there, he could have gone after him and killed him if he wanted to, pero fíjate. He's like, where am I supposed
Where's
to
the
go?
door? Where's the door?
Where's the door?
Yeah.
Pero volvemos a lo mismo, porque son atletas también los toros y los caballos son animales profesionales que están profesionalmente entrenados para hacer esta disciplina.
Bro, ¿y quién entrena a los toros? ¿Los misma gente de la
Los
charrería? O
no, los ganaderos. So
Okay,
the owners of the bulls. So
Yeah, that's a dumb question, right?
So the biggest misconception with bull riding is that the berijero, which is a rope in the back,
Okay.
is tied around their nuts. So let me ask you guys this:
Oh, man.
if someone were to tie your nuts, would you be running around jumping, or would you stand still?
All right. You probably fall to the ground.
How tight is it? Pretty tight?
It's tight.
I mean, I doubt I can even fucking walk.
Exactly.
Right?
So that concept has already been
Debunked.
debunked 100%.
Oh, so these people are saying, like,
Yeah, the PETA.
Yeah.
All those animal protectors are like, oh, they
shark and all these.
Yeah. Oh, you do know about shark. We'll talk about that.
Yeah. They're my buddies.
You got some bad friends.
No, they're not.
They're based out of here, Chicago.
Yeah. We know a little bit because shout out Ivan Plevada.
Yes, sir.
Plevada Chicago.
Yeah, about Chicago.
Yep. He came on here. He talked about sharks. Fuck you guys too.
Assholes.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's Shark's fault that they might stop charrería and coleaderos out here. So it's an organization we have to be very careful with. But going back to the topic, so berijero goes around the hindquarters of the bull.
Okay.
Y haz de cuenta que es más que nada like an object for the bull to kick at, to try to take off. So that's kind of what they're trained to do is like try to
that's the
take that
science.
off. Yeah, it's designed. But it's on there soft. It's not on there that tight. And en una charrea con las reglas normales, cuando no aplican la regla de jinetear 8 segundos, debes de limpiar el toro, which means you're supposed to take off the berijero and your bull rope, which is called the pretal. But in this tournament, because the quality of the bulls is so strong, like see how it falls off? Yeah. So I se lo limpia. Yeah.
Right
So
there
you
is
get
good.
Yeah, so you get extra points for that.
Stop bucking.
Ya ese
There
toro
you
sí es
go.
maldito.
No va lo correteó, ¿verdad?
Yeah.
Hijo de su pinche madre.
Yeah.
So he gets extra points for limpiarlo because he stayed on it.
Yeah, in this tournament, a lot of these new tournaments have different rules. There's a basis to a reglamento, which is basically your rule book. But a lot of tournaments they kind of add their own little touches to make it a little bit more interesting for more or less for the fans. But
Now-
I think this is the most common suerte.
De pura curiosidad. Y no es que obviamente no te pregunto para que mal hables de nada, ¿verdad? Pero ¿hay como rivalidad o cuando entra eso de los jinetes? ¿O es el mismo jinete el que hace este y el que hace el jaripeo? ¿O uno se piensa que es como, no
no.
menos, ¿verdad? But that guy think he's more of a badass than the jaripeo guy?
No, I mean, I'm sure like one guy might have that, but as a general concept, no.
Okay, okay.
No, as a general concept is,
Es igual, por decir.
sí, porque haz de cuenta, pues, I'm not going against you. I'm going against the bull.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And a lot of cool things with with jinetes de toro is that a lot of bull riders really care about each other and they help each other a lot.
Yeah.
No importa de qué equipo es or if you're competing against each other, like they help each other a lot. Los jinetes en la charrería tienen mucha hermandad. A lot of them are like they'll help each other como no te imaginas. It's
Okay.
kind of like American Cowboys too, where they'll travel from state to state y se ayudan, se apoyan. Why? Because just because we're in a competition, I'm not competing against you. I'm competing against my own skills as well as trying to dominate the bull.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
El animal es el mismo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And your competition, well, it's not your competition, it's your compa, it's your friend. And si le va bien, chingón. Y si ti te va bien, pues también chingón, you know?
That was number 5 about? Are we on
That
number
was 4.
5?
That was 4.
Okay.
We're going into 5 now. So esto se llama la
Getting
terna en el
excited,
ruedo.
güey. I'm getting excited. I don't know
You're
why.
about to go buy a horse, right?
I am getting excited. At one
rental,
point,
at
at one
least?
point, I was thinking about getting a horse. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
Yeah.
How long ago was this?
Shit, I don't know. When I had money. So it was a long time
So
ago.
before you started the podcast.
Yeah, before I started the podcast, is right. Yeah, I thought about fucking getting a horse, man. But
So
then
what made you stop?
the money.
Yeah.
They're too expensive, way. I mean, at least that's what they told me. It's like a fucking car note or more.
No, más.
Yeah, so
Comprar
I
un
don't
caballo es lo más fácil. El
I have-
mantenimiento is the hardest part.
that.
There's fucking friends out there that say that they're broke and they own fucking horses. I don't believe you guys.
That's why they're broke, because they have
That's why they're
horses.
broke.
If you own a horse, you
horse
ain't
is
broke.
good.
You're not broke, bro. If you own a fucking horse, you got like a $5,000 a month fucking gasto.
Nah,
Get outta
no,
here.
no es tanto, pero sí es caro. Sí es caro. So what we're seeing next is what's called La Terna del Ruedo, which this is the event that they say started the whole sport of charreria. Why do they say that? The reason being is because in this event, you have 3 guys from a team. You have 2 opportunities right now, the way the rule book goes, and you have one guy that ropes the bull from the head, and then the other one by the legs, and then they drop into the ground. Why do they do that? Again, same thing. Para vacunar los toros, ponerles el fierro, branding them, all that. Well, you're talking about times, or all this was invented before the notion of a corral system was ever created. So there was no corrals. This is how you did it back in the open fields. And they, like I said, they still do this. American Cowboys do this too. The biggest difference is that con los Cowboys no hacen esto lo que se llama el floreo de la soga. So basically rope tricks. They do some rope tricks now because it's become more and more popular, but not to this degree of skill.
Yeah, this guy put it around his neck and all that shit, right?
Yeah, I mean these are the pros, and there's a lot of great charros aquí en Chicago. Hay muchísimos charros que son buenísimos en todas las disciplinas y en especialmente en particular lo que es el floreo de la soga, and the floreo is really taken off to where you see even 8-year-olds coming up with these insanely crazy skills, and it's just, I mean, you're talking hours and years of practice to dominate this. It's
So
not.
right here, the guy who's got the bull by the neck, he's just waiting for this guy to do his thing.
Yep.
And then it's his turn to get him by the legs.
So, cada movimiento de la soga, each trick, we'll call it trick,
Uh-huh.
is worth X amount of points.
Okay.
So the more specific tricks that you do, you're accumulating points. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
While the other guy's holding it down.
Yeah. And then what happens is you have a time. So you have to do this in a certain amount of time.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, because I mean, first
No,
of all,
si
you don't.
no, aquí
First
vas
of all,
a-
you don't want to hurt the animal. Secondly, pues vas a aburrir a la gente.
Yeah.
You know? Y de hecho, un apodo de la terna, because a lot of people find it boring. I love it. It's one of the events, that I do and that I personally enjoy. Se le llama la eterna because sometimes it takes a long time.
And what's the time on this then?
Now I think it's at 7 minutes, or no, I think it might be less. It's crazy because now, because of the podcast, and just studying other sports and trying to learn how to grow the sport more and professionalize it, I think this is the year that I've watched the least amount of charreadas and definitely the least that I've competed. Actually, this year I did compete a little bit at the beginning of the season, but then I had to walk away. Just too much traveling for the podcast and my other business.
Got
So you rope them and then you drop them, but when you drop them, they're not on the ground for long. Ahí van. El toro tiene que estar de lado and watch right away. So you have your teammates there. So you're not really hurting the animal. And when people are like, oh, you're choking it, it's like, do you know how thick a bull's neck is? Like, you would have to sit there and hold it for probably over 10 minutes to actually cause legitimate damage. It's kind of like if you were to choke yourself like this, like, you can still breathe through your nose. Same thing with them, you know? So, but this is what really started everything is once the bull was dropped, that's when they would, vaccinate them. And they took that discipline and applied it to the other events.
That's not crazy. It's so interesting to me how it's just out of a lifestyle. To be honest, the origin of living, let alone the fucking Mexico's national sport. I mean, I imagine Indians were doing it here in America, right? Most
Something
of the stuff-
similar.
Yeah.
I don't know to what degree because I don't think they had cattle like in Mexico. I think it was more or less the bison.
Okay.
But I think it's different. I think that bison was just hunted. Now the bisons are managed like cattle, and now the bison has become part of the food industry. Bison meats become more and more popular throughout the years. And that's the same thing too. It's like, how do you think we get meat at McDonald's? This is the stuff that happens. It's you don't
round them up.
Yeah, you don't go up to a ton animal and say, Mr. Mumu, por favor, pásale aquí a la traila so we can go kill you.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not the reality of the situation.
That's a very great way to put it. I mean, and I know that everyone probably listening and watching like us right now, like, yeah, but the activists, like, it's that simple. I mean, they're probably vegan, right? Those motherfuckers.
No, a lot of them aren't actually.
Like, how does that not make
they
sense?
They go home and eat big old
Yeah, like
steaks
that
after,
doesn't make sense, right? Like, what the fuck? You're absolutely right. It's not like the fucking nowadays the fucking cat are like, all right, fuck, I'm just gonna follow you to my death. No mames, güey. What are we watching now?
Even the cattle that are raised in ranches that are bred specifically for meat consumption, you still have to move them.
Yeah.
Y se mueven a caballo con sogas. You still have to do it.
Yeah.
There's no way around it because you're dealing with an animal que no tiene lógica.
Correcto. No tiene
So,
lógica.
El caballo es muy inteligente. And, there's a saying that el mejor amigo del hombre es el perro. Whoever invented that never had a horse. Horses are insanely smart. And one of the things I do want to clarify is that a lot of people get scared with horses, and you constantly hear about these accidents. The reason why that typically happens is un caballo en su naturaleza, out in the open fields. If we were to go to Arizona, Grand Canyon, all that, where there's wild mustangs, which there's a big mustang problem right now, which I'll talk about in a minute. Un caballo no se defiende. Naturally, they don't attack you. Their natural instinct is to run.
Okay.
They don't defend themselves typically. It's very rare for a horse to bite you, kick you. Their natural instinct is to just
Run away.
take off.
Yeah.
They take off in herds. So what happens is horses' senses are so strong and so smart that when you're about 5 to 10 feet away, they can sense if you're nervous. And what we don't realize as humans is that when we're nervous, we actually vibrate. We send vibrations through our body. So what I have told people that, I take to the ranch and, we'll get them on a horse is like, first thing I tell them is like, if you actually are nervous, when you get on the horse, either kick it or pull the reins. Because the horse already can sense your fear. And as soon as you put your foot in the stirrup, it'll feel those vibrations. Y muchos caballos lo que hacen es arriscan las orejas, which means they throw their ears back. And that means that they're nervous, they're scared, they're feeling some kind of emotion. They're not relaxed. So when you do that to a horse, you kick it or you pull it, the horse is like, oh, okay, this guy's in control. I'm at peace. They need leadership. They need to be kind of like a woman. Una pinche tóxica, la tienes que traer. That's where that saying comes from. Traer la cortita de rienda. That's what it refers to. You guys ever heard that saying?
¿Cómo?
Tener una vieja cortita de rienda.
Oh, sí, que la tiene cortita.
That's where that comes from. That comes from that concept of
Goddamn horses, they're betas then, huh?
yeah. So that's what happens is a lot of times with accidents is when people get nervous and they get on a horse horses freaks out and they just wants to get away. And then someone who doesn't know how to ride, they'll fall off.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That almost happened to me.
You almost fell off the horse?
I
think
I
that's
didn't
what
fall off
changed
a
your
horse.
mind, and that's why you didn't get the horse, compa.
Can I share a quick story?
Yeah.
I went on my honeymoon. So this was a while back, right? And I had never ridden a horse like that. And I've always wanted to like ride the horse without my shirt, shirt off and
On the beach.
on the fucking beach way.
Flavio.
But when we yeah, Flavio style, correct. But when we're leaving the horse fucking place, in Mexico está the barbed wire fucking fencing. Y yo veía, güey, que el pinche caballo no se iba a mover, güey. Y yo era como el último. Y era, pues, mi esposa, yo y el pinche guide, pero el guide estaba to my far.
Ahí va en chinga.
Y el pinche barandal estaba a cara izquierda. And we were going to, like, turn into the street to go to the beach. Y un poste machín, güey. Directo al poste iba el pinche caballo, güey. Y yo, pues, yo no quería jalar al güey para un lado. Ni madre, güey, que se movió. I was going straight to the fucking pole, and I got so fucking, like, nervous. I literally had
jumped
to,
off?
no. I had to take my left leg and kind of, like, pull it out. Like, just be on one leg almost kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And the fucking horse, like, le pegó al pinche caballo the barbed wire right on the, and he just kind of, like, didn't do shit, and I kind of had to hop back on. But that's just me, because I know that I was nervous as fuck, way. And then the fucking horse, the orejas were up. And then
It all just came back.
we
right
got
now
on the
when you
beach,
said
and the
that, right?
motherfucking guide also knew I was nervous. So he purposely whips the fucking horse. Y ahí va de putiza, güey. Ah! Almost fell. Didn't follow. It was crazy, way. I'm such a pussy with
So
horses.
it was not the romantic Flavio thing. You were going for clamps.
No.
Completely, your nerves completely ruined the whole
They
thing.
fucked it up,
brother.
way.
God damn.
Hey,
And
at least nobody yelled world star in the background.
True. That would have been some shit. Oh, my God. It took me.
Star, look
Hell
at
yeah.
this retard.
Look at this fat ass guy. I literally didn't have my shirt on, for real. I really wanted to be like,
You went shirt off.
güey.
Before I jump on the horse, hold on.
Y luego, ¿te sabes subir? Ah, huevo, que me sé subir. Nada, le batallé un vergal también para subirme a la verga. Traiga la pinche escalera, pues, mejor. Well, that was my story.
So that's one
They
of the
do pick
biggest
up on the
reasons.
sensing, the nervousness.
Yeah, so that's the biggest reason most people fall off
Damn.
horses. Yeah. They're very insecure creatures, so you have to lead them. Yeah, you definitely have to show some level of confidence. For
You're a
sure.
good rider, compa?
You know what? I know how to ride. I wouldn't consider myself a good rider. I'm not going to fall. I mean, I did have a story at the beginning saying that I fell off a pony.
You did fall off a pony.
But I was young at that point. I had to be 9, 10 years old, maybe. And my cousin was first of all, he took the pony in the backseat of a Tahoe, like I said. Second of all, when he threw me on, kicked the pony in the nets. The pony took off. I'm young.
How old were you?
I kind of just started, 9, 10 years old, bro.
You just kind of went sideways.
Yeah, hey, pause. Ahí. Remember, I felt like on a big old rock, so I was crying and shit. I was young though. I was
Yeah.
young, but I mean, I've
How
my
many
uncle-
more? You've
I've ridden more times. My
Yeah.
uncles have horses here,
Oh, yeah?
So here and there we go to the rancho. Don't you remember a few years ago I posted
You posted a picture,
posted a
right?
picture and I was wearing shorts and everybody was talking shit because I was on the horse wearing shorts. I think it was Fry actually.
Your shorts
And
is
back
Jordans
there.
and shit.
Yeah, exactly, bro. I
Sí,
was wearing
señor.
Jordans
Yo
and a
soy de
shirt.
rancho.
Yeah, pero soy de rancho,
Huevo.
Pero that was just everybody go. Like the whole fam would go and everybody would take turns riding the horse.
Yeah.
My uncles had some good actually because my uncles, they're obviously grew up in Mexico. They know horses. So my uncle he knows how to train horses pretty good. Is what I'm saying. Ha tenido horses así charros y la chingada.
Pues hay muchas disciplinas para los caballos. I mean,
Yeah.
what's most popular right now is los caballos bailadores. There's caballos charros. Hay mucha gente de a caballo que son de rancho y que saben trabajar caballos, que saben trabajar ganado, pero no son charros. There is a little bit of a difference.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
see that I would say that's where my uncles are. They're not
Yeah.
technically charros,
But they know how to
saben
ride
trabajar.
horse. They know how to
saben
manage
trabajar
cattle.
horses.
Yeah.
So you don't get nervous anymore if you would.
I wouldn't say I wouldn't get nervous because I think I would always get nervous.
Yeah.
Pero I mean, it's obviously like everything, Even when you freaking ride a bike, at first you jump on the bike and you're like, oh shit, oh fuck. feeling a little wobbly. But as soon as you get going, well, you're off to the races,
Yeah.
So
There's
it's one of those things.
there's definitely that misconception, and I've had a lot of the professional charros on the podcast, and they've said like, todos que dicen que no tienen algún nivel de nerviosismo is full of shit. Because at some point we're all a little bit nervous, and I think it's just natural, right?
Well, yeah, because
You're dealing with an animal.
Yeah, we just said it. The animal didn't get that much smarter, like in that sense, right? De todos modos es un animal, güey. I mean, that's the scary part for me. The fucking
Yeah, but I mean, I've always written like it was funny when I was a little bit older. So I'm saying maybe when I was 13, 14, we would go and we would always go and pedir unos burros, bro. And we would fuck around on the burros, 2 burros, bro. We were fucking around the rancho all over the place with the damn burros, way racing the burros and shit like that, bro.
And it's fun, isn't it?
And it was the best time,
Yeah.
It'd be like 4 of us, and two on each burro and shit. Then you're going like I have like crazy memories where like the little callejones right there in Vergel. And then I remember one time we were riding and I remember I wasn't on that one, so I was watching it. The one that was in the front ducked, and the one in the back didn't see the tree branch. She saws, tree branch to the face, fell off the burro. Like, hacíamos mucha pendejada, bro. So I've been on burros, I've been on horses, I've been on ponies. I'm not a charro by any stretch of the imagination, and I wouldn't say I'm good at it, but I could do it.
Pero es como cualquier otra cosa en la vida. Practice makes perfect.
Yeah,
And,
for sure.
I mean, even with the pros, I wouldn't say that they've perfected it either,
Yeah.
because it's every horse is different. I mean, you definitely get to a level where you can ride just about any horse, but pues siempre existe esa incertidumbre where an accident could happen.
Yeah, and
in a split second.
Yeah. It's such a crazy thing. Like my brother, the one that was like I would say the furthest from the rancho lifestyle, which is my brother Gucci. I remember he was really good at riding, bro. Él se subía, bro, y los caballos andaban en chinga, bro. O sea, he had maybe the confidence, to make the horse feel comfortable, and he was comfortable. So andaba en chinga, like now he probably wouldn't jump on, but at that time when we were young, like he would jump on. And I remember like some of the, because my family, they had horses, they had a bunch of horses, de colear, de carreras. They had all kinds of different horses, So he would get on the, the more acá horses, and he could handle them. So it's all like, again, that about the confidence, about the feeling of the horse feeling that you're not nervous. And
hell yeah.
I think knowing the animals. So.
It's a craft. A huevo es
sure.
fucking sport craft. Le tienes que meter horas para que también el animal y uno agarre la confianza.
Pues es cualquier cosa. I mean, I'm assuming the first time you guys did a podcast, you were just as nervous as when I did my first episode.
Right.
It's just practice. I think the most beautiful thing about the sport and the lifestyle is that you get kids, como dices tú, they make those memories at the ranch and being out in nature and playing and getting away from all the technology. I mean, how many? I forget who it was on the podcast, but the guest said something that I didn't think about, but now when they said it, kind of light bulb went off. And what she said was that the thing that she loves about the Familia Charra, the Charro community, is that you can go to a charreada and your kids can be running around. It doesn't matter where they are, because everybody in the community, even if you don't like that person, you're still keep an eye out for the kids, Pero pues los niños están jugando en la tierra, están jugando con los caballos, and it's a more healthier lifestyle than them being, glued to the iPad or the phone all day,
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of benefits to it. There really is. It's just you have to, like anything else in life, you have to understand it to respect it.
Yep.
What
do we have next year, guys?
So we're on the 6th event. Este es el Jineteo de Yegua. So same concept as bronc riding, pero pues obviamente la mexicana, jineteando un caballo bruto, una yegua bruta. Same thing, you gotta ride horse until it stops bucking. Aquí la diferencia, or the other difference I didn't explain, with bull riding is that lo tradicional es de montar a 2 manos. In American bull riding, it's 1 hand. Ya también se hacen en las charreadas desde una mano because you get a little bit more points. Well, not anymore. They switched it back to 2 hands to kind of keep the traditions, right? but it's actually a lot harder to ride two hands than it is one hand. It's a big misconception. The reason being is
Yeah, with the one hand, you get the balance.
exactly.
That's
So si,
your balance,
si
yeah.
estás jineteando un toro and you ride with your opposite of your strong hand. So if you're righty, you typically will ride with your left. So if you're falling to the left, you te
Balance
apalancas para
with your
acá.
right,
You balance
yeah.
yourself. But cuando estás a dos manos, pues si te ladeas está más difícil, está más complicado. But jineteo de yegua, you typically ride two hands.
That one looks way harder.
I honestly,
And they're like planking.
Dude, I was just thinking these guys got some massive like fucking core power, bro.
I personally think it's scarier to ride a horse like this than it is to ride a bull. Horses are taller, they have more muscles, and they can get way more airborne.
Yeah.
And I mean,
nice ones.
when you get off, a lot of times those horses will kick like how you saw right there.
Oh yeah, one guy just got stepped on.
I saw a guy here in La Herradura actually lose his eye. He rolled off the back, the horse kicked him, and just perfect timing. And it's not an easy sport.
Boom.
Yeah. What do you think of that?
That one does look a little wild way.
So you're down to ride a bull, but not a horse.
If I had to pick,
Bull
probably
all
the
day.
bull way. Probably the bull. Yeah.
I mean, and there's levels, right? There's levels of bulls.
No, give me the lowest one way.
Oh, of course.
Checo, Paculo. You just lost mad points. You already started off wrong.
De un pinche becerro a la verga.
Hay que ponerte una vaca lechera.
Yeah.
Sí. No, mames.
Yeah,
Pues sí, copa no va a haber, pero también.
Sí, sí, sí.
mean,
Muy a
there's-
gómelo. Go ahead.
there's what's called practice bulls where they kind of come walking, running, maybe a jump or two. That's something we would put you on the first time.
Nice.
Give me a little practice.
Hell
bro.
yeah.
Talk about practice.
Yeah,
That was number 6 or 5?
I was 6, so we're
Okay,
going 7.
Sorry, yeah, I'm fucking higher.
This is my personal favorite. So this is called Manganas a Pie.
Las
It's
manganas. a
yeah,
pie.
it's the only event where a charro is on the ground. So for the people who are listening, it's a suerte. It takes place inside of the circle part of the lienzo, and what happens is you have 3 guys from your team que se le llaman arriadores,
Oh, shit.
and what they do is they chase a wild horse around the arena. Well, they're not wild anymore because of the fact that it's harder to get wild horses nowadays. And you have one guy that's on foot that does a series of tricks. Each trick counts as a point. And the object is to rope the horse from the front legs. Now, esto es en México. En México se tumban las yeguas y los caballos. In the U.S., we do not do that. That became illegal in 1994.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
So here in the U.S., all you do is chorrear. What does chorrear mean? So when the rope goes around his waist, eso se llama chorrear. Y aquí nomás se chorrea 3 metros, which means after you rope the horse and it goes around, you put the rope around your waist, you do it for 10 meters that the horse runs, and then that's it. In Mexico, you drop them. And that's the traditional correct way. But it's illegal here in the U.S.
Can I see that again, compa? This was your
I think you're down
favorite?
for that
Back,
one.
back up a little bit.
No, I'm trying to figure out if I can do it or not.
Right there. So that right there is chorrear. See how it goes around his. Okay. See how he brings his arm down? Eso ya es derribar, which we don't do in the U.S.
He went hard, bro. He did it off a knee.
Yeah.
No, I like the last guy, but I was thinking like I think
Okay.
I would do it like that last guy.
So eso se llama el tirón del ahorcado, which the end of the rope goes around your neck, and after the rope goes into the horse's legs, is you drop down to the ground. Haces el Cristo, like you position yourself like Christ on the cross,
Look at this guy.
and you let.
That's you. That's me,
That's you. All right.
bro.
Well, that is your favorite character.
Yeah.
El Cristo.
My favorite fucking character of all time. He's up there, right? He's got to be.
Best-selling book, G.
Wow. That's a good one. No wonder that's your favorite, bro.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
And then, ahí que el que lo hace más rápido gana, or como.
No, so you get 3 opportunities.
Okay.
So actually, here's a fun fact. You know how you have the hat trick in hockey,
Uh huh.
and everyone throws their hats?
Correct.
Same thing happens in charrería. That's where that comes from.
Okay.
The hat trick
So
too.
if you get all 3,
Toda la afición, everyone who's in public throws their hats, sombreros, boots, bras.
So you get 3
Yes.
tries, o sea,
Yeah.
for the horse.
I mean,
Do they usually do hat tricks, or is that really, really tough to do?
It's starting to get more and more common. I mean, now with the pros in Mexico, antes era ibas a una charrea de ver quién hacía la suerte, who could actually do it. Now, because the pros are so fucking good, it's like vas a ver una charrea a ver quién falla.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's way more common that you
They
see
miss.
as
Yeah.
close to perfection as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's levels. You're talking pros.
Yeah, yeah.
Here in the U.S., there's like I said, there's hundreds of amazing charros that do go 3 for 3 pretty often, but it's not as common as in Mexico with the pros. Por lo mismo que pues estos practican al diario y por decir en esta suerte en las manganas, like Vicente Fernandez's team, I know the guys from the team. And I think they have 70, 80 yeguas that they practice with. And here in the U.S., most teams have 3, 4, maybe 5 if you're on a rich team. So now we're watching Manganas a Caballo, which is the same concept. It's just you do it on horse. Y ahí en vez de tumbar el caballo by putting the rope around your waist, it's around the head of the saddle.
Yeah.
But same thing. You do a series of tricks, and then you rope the horse. But again, this is all the same thing too. So the Manganas a pie, back in the day,
trick.
out in the open fields, is 3, 4 guys would chase one horse, and one guy would be on foot and just throw the rope and drop it. But again, with the object of taking care of the horse.
Right.
I mean, and you're talking about a ton animal, so it can take falling.
Yeah.
You know, if little kids in Pee Wee football can take hits, well, obviously a huge animal can fall. You know, it's not. I've never really seen a horse get killed from that, ever in my 30-some years in charreria. I don't think I've ever seen a horse get killed from that.
No.
No.
No leg injuries either, or see?
Yeah, leg injuries. Yeah, I mean a pulled tendon.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Yeah, for sure. But así de que death, no. At least not, I'm sure it's happened somewhere.
In the pie ones,
In
where
the
they're
pie?
the pie, is there extra points for the fucking Mortal Kombat endings? Like the better the ending, the more the points.
The way that they fall.
Yeah.
No.
Like fucking
No.
like,
No,
like, finish
but-
him.
But you do get points negative si el caballo cae de hocico.
Oh,
If it falls, or if it falls on its head. Because
Okay.
again, going back to what I keep saying is, you want to do these ranch practices, but the intention is not to hurt the animals. It's you're
To get 'em
doing this
down
to
in
go
the-
and take care of them,
Yeah.
to do something.
Yeah.
O sea, por una razón tienes que hacer esto.
I like that.
It's turned into a sport now.
Yeah.
You know, over the years it turned into a sport. Pero pues sí, si el caballo cae del lado, mucho mejor because you're not hurting it. You know.
All right, here
So
we
this
go.
is the last event.
the last one.
This is the last one. So this is la suerte número 9. En la terna, when they rope from the head, is one faena.
Okay.
And then the wrapping from the back legs is otra faena. But it's still one suerte. It's
Okay.
2 components in one, basically. Aquí en el Paso de la Muerte, un charro is bareback on his normal horse, and he's followed by 1 or 2 arriadores from his team. And what's going to happen is this charro on the horse, without a saddle, is up next to a chute, and you're going to have a wild horse come out of the chute, and you have 2 turns around the arena to jump from one horse to the other at full speed. And same concept to dominate the horse. Why do they do this? Same thing, because back then they wanted to break horses. Breaking horses meaning like take it from wild to being
Yeah,
able to
catch a
use
wild,
it.
yep.
Yeah. It's just that term is used wrong because
Yeah.
of its definition.
Yeah.
Breaking them.
Yeah. But breaking in a horse, in the Americans, Cowboys do something similar. When they put on the saddle for a new horse and they ride until it stops bucking. Pero aquí se llama Paso de la Muerte porque, perdón, there's guys who have died from this. I remember as a kid, shout out to Giovanni and his dad, Tano, and his brother, Nicky. I remember when I was a kid, I saw Tano, my buddy Gio's dad, get run over really bad, and we thought he had died. And it was really scary. I still remember like it was yesterday. I think it was maybe about, I don't know, 10, 12 years old. It happened at a Consuelo. And I remember he got stepped on and he had the horseshoe marks all over his face. It was scary.
Oh, he was on it. That was.
So the easiest part is probably jumping. The harder part is dominating the horse afterwards. And again, you have to stay on until it stops bucking.
Órale, órale.
What?
Yeah.
Nice. You see it little by little calming down.
Yeah, and then the judge will
There you
tell you
go.
that you can get off. But so same thing with like the hat trick. I mean, eso ya es agradecimiento del público to say, man, you jumped on the horse. The reason why they're so excited in this video is because this is the final of the national championship in 2 years ago in Aguascalientes, I believe it was 2 years ago. So este equipo, que es Rancho El Quevedeño de Tepic, Nayarit, they needed that paso to win. Like, kind of like Hail Mary at the end of a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Because it's a national championship and they needed it. And typically you have one or two guys help you to push the wild horse forward, right? Because if the wild horse stops or goes around, es cero. Like, that's it, no points.
And your try is
You're done and you're over. So they would have lost the national championship. So they took the risk of doing no arriadores, no extra help because they needed those extra points. You get extra points because pues no tienes alguien que te está ayudando a empujar
Yeah,
el caballo. You get what I'm saying?
So they went for it all.
They went for it all.
Can you rewind that, compa, again? Sorry. Where he fucking does it. Dude, it was badass.
Yeah.
So this is literally a Hail Mary with 1 second on the clock and at the end of the Super Bowl. And they won it.
Touchdown, my boy.
He needed a strike on his last fucking lane or
For the
whatever it's called.
300.
For the 300, bro.
God.
Right there, he's like, fuck that. I
Got it.
won this shit.
Yes, sir.
He's already like, man, cálense la banda, hijos de la chingada. Ahora sí,
Yes.
hey,
Yeah, I remember
vámonos.
it went nuts. And it's funny because so one thing that me and some friends started in California was every year for the national championship, we get together as like everybody would watch a Super Bowl. And we have a big ass carne asada. We usually get between 40 to 60 people. Y hacemos apuestas, quinelas here and there. Y se hacen rifas. Like it's the charro version of a Super Bowl party.
That was awesome.
Yeah. So I sent another link to Fry. So we're going to talk about the female side. Porque las mujeres también
Oh,
charrean.
sí.
They also ride. Y ellas se merecen su lugar, for sure. Just let Fry pull it up and I'll talk about it. So essentially, escaramuzas is, it's a team is composed of 8 women that ride, but they ride side saddle. So no montan como un
De
hombre.
frente, o sea,
Montan del lado.
Sí.
La montura se llama una albarda. Y donde va la pierna, se llama el cuerno. It's a horn, and their leg sits into it. I'll show you a picture of it.
Mhm.
But the easiest way for me to describe it is it's kind of like synchronized swimming, but on horseback.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like to me, too.
So they do a routine. I don't know exactly how much time they get, but each movement, choreographed movement, is worth X amount of points, and they have to do X amount of se llaman ejercicios. And then basically at the end of their competition is team with the most points wins. Basically, the team that gets as close to perfection performing their exercises wins.
Play, compa?
Whenever you want. So, this is an albarda, and you see that top part.
Yeah, put my glasses, G. Hold on. Okay.
Got it.
Yeah.
Mark.
Yeah, I
You saw-
yeah.
Okay.
Ah, mi compa's got good eyes.
So they also do the punta at the beginning of their charreada.
Pero de lado.
Yeah, I mean they're riding side
Yeah.
saddle. See how you
That's
can.
great. See, that's one thing that I had never really noticed.
The lado part?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, this is a while ago.
Pre-COVID times. Ah, the good old
Yeah.
days.
You know what?
Look at that. Look at that.
That's cool as hell.
Dude, and it's crazy because some of these girls, their horses go so fast where, I mean, you see accidents where they crash into each other hard. And it's scary. I mean, I've seen some girls get some serious injuries. But they're just as passionate as we are. And I actually think their sport is a lot more difficult. I think it's more difficult because they all have to be in sync.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, huh?
That one's good.
But again, I mean, it goes back to the concept of this is a family sport. It's the I've been researching it very rigidly for the last 2.5 years to try to find a sport that's similar to charreria in the sense of the family aspect. In charreria, you can have 4 generations. I know a couple of teams that have el abuelo, el hijo, el nieto, y el bisnieto. There isn't a single other sport in the world. I think there might be one in Asia somewhere, but I didn't finish watching that documentary. I need to go back and watch that to confirm. But as of right now, I have not found a single sport that has that same family aspect, you know?
I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like this is actually way more impressive than synchronized swimming.
Well, yeah, because you're dealing with horses.
Yeah.
Y los caballos son igual que los humanos. A veces están de malas. They're having a bad day or they're just angry or they woke up grumpy or whatever. And, I mean, you know, a horse can throw itself back and fall on you. I had one horse that they used to abuse him. So he was insanely scared of the rope. And he almost killed me like 5 or 6 times because he would throw himself against the wall to get you off. It took me 6-8 months to get him to calm down with the rope. But by the time, you know, after all this training with him, I had to learn how to train horses that are traumatized. And there's a famous Australian horse trainer that specializes in traumatized horses. So I watched tons of videos on YouTube and just little tricks. And eventually it got to the point where I could put on a little kid on the horse, or I could sit underneath the horse and eat lunch and chill. But what that horse needed was love and trust. He needed that connection. And that's what these animals activists don't understand, is you just see this, but you don't see all behind the scenes. You don't see the hundreds of hours that we spend with these animals. You know, they become part of your family.
So the Scaramuza part also, though, is part of the charreria,
Yeah,
right?
it's part of charro. Traditionally, it's part of the charreada. A lot of times now in terms of charros, they might be included, they might not be, just because of time constraints.
Right.
But then they also have their own, what's called ferias escaramuzas, where they have their own tournaments too.
Los torneos, ¿verdad?
Yeah.
Those are kind of popular
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Traditionally, eran las primeras 3 suertes y después del coleadero entran las escaramuzas. That's the traditional charreada.
Y aquí también en Chicago
Yeah,
se
there's
hace
tons.
bastante ahí en Joliet.
Yeah.
I know back in the day with Viejones, compa, we played for Las Coronelas, I
Yep,
think it
I was about to mention them.
Yeah, right? Shout out to them. And they're
Shout
always
out to
doing
them.
something.
Yeah, they've always been a very good team. I mean, there's a bunch of other good teams in Illinois. Illinois has always been a strong state. Like I said, for the longest time, Illinois was the 3rd state with the most participation. I think now they're the 4th.
Okay.
But I mean, they're still top 5 of 25, 26 states right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Illinois has always been on the map, you know. So Chicago's always represented charreria very well.
Nice.
There's a lot of charros out here that in my personal opinion, could go pro. Lo difícil de aquí es pues el clima, you know. And
Yeah, it's temporal.
yeah,
Sí.
that's the biggest problem here in other states too on the East Coast where it's only 3-4 months. And now you compare it to a state like California that in El Sur, LA, SoCal, those guys are competing 9, 10, sometimes 11 months out of the year. And
Shit.
and those hardcore guys that still want to ride in December, 3 hours to TJ. Y ahí te vas a charrear.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's because it's an outdoor sport. And right now in the whole country, there isn't a fully enclosed arena yet. Hay lo que se llaman lienzos techados, where the manga is la techada y el ruedo también. Mostly in Texas. Texas probably has the best lienzos charros. Chicago doesn't have a single one that's covered. California finally got one that's fully covered last year or the year before that in Northern California. There's one in Virginia that they're working on to fully enclose it. And it is fully covered now, but they're actually going to enclose it like a stadium style. So, but they're probably another year away from doing that. You know, these are all private people who have businesses, construction, whatever, that all their money they dump into the sport because they just love it so much. You know, and I've asked people, like, I met that guy who owns that lienzo and team in Virginia. I'm like, pues, ¿por qué tanto dinero que le inviertes? Hace? Ver a mis hijos en esto y no conectado al teléfono es tanta felicidad verlos estar corriendo afuera and just having fun, you know, with nature, just like how we grew up in Mexico, you know. And I think that's the most important part of preserving this lifestyle, is that the family unity and the connection with the animals,
Yeah.
you know. So it's sad to see organizations like Shark that don't understand. I get their concept. I understand animal activists that, they don't want to see animal harms. We don't want to see animal harmed either, too. One of the biggest, I want to say, unwritten rules in the charro community is que nunca le pegas un caballo en la cabeza. It's like hitting a woman. You never do that. You never, ever, ever do that. If you were to ever have to do that with a horse because horse is just psycho, you would do that somewhere in a corner where nobody can see you. It's embarrassing to do that. If you see a fellow charro do that, you definitely look down at him like, you couldn't find another way to train your horse? Like, you're obviously not a good rider.
Okay, yeah.
So it is a very big no-no in our
it's
community
looked
to
upon,
do that.
Yeah.
Like, there's ways, even with the most difficult horses, you don't have to hit them. That's a big misconception. Era, ahora sí que una práctica de machismo de antemano. But I mean, 30, 40, 50 years ago, people didn't have the technology, the patience, the education of how to work animals that we have in our modern society. Like I mentioned, I mean, I'm not a horse trainer, I'm not a arrendador by any means, but that horse, I saw a lot of potential in him, and I found the way. But I had YouTube, learn from someone on the other side of the world. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's what I think makes me most sad about those animal activists, is that they don't understand everything that happens behind the scenes, and that's part of the reason why we started the podcast, is to kind of educate people about it and not let this die out, because it represents us as Mexicans.
For sure.
I agree. No, I do. Do you realistically in the future, you don't see that, like in the U.S., they're just not going to allow, like it's going to be banned? Just like, I mean,
realistically, anything could happen, and it could happen. But what's going to happen? It's going to hurt the economy.
yeah.
Just in truck sales alone. I mean, ustedes que han vivido más esto, cómo ha crecido tanto del rancho. 15 years ago, how many trucks did you see on the road compared to right now?
Yeah.
But would the rebuttal be, we're not saying you can't own a horse. We're just saying you can't do, colear
These
per se. Like,
activities.
you guys can fucking own tons of horses. You just can't do that, I mean, I'm just thinking, like, that's probably what they're gonna fucking say.
Yeah, you're playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll happen, but knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And that's what the podcast is, and this is what this kind of stuff is. That's why, I asked Fry the last time I was here, I was like, me dio mucha pena preguntarle, like, how do I get on other podcasts? Because I know that's part of my mission. I don't like being the center of attention, but right now with the podcast, well, I'm running it by myself.
Yeah.
And the only way to get this information out there, I can do 1 million episodes, but if I don't go on other people's episodes and educate people, pues, ¿cómo crees eso? How do we preserve it?
1000%.
So I had to be vulnerable and ask him. And thank you, Fry, for the hookup. But
No.
Of course.
And shit, I even said it that day when you were here at the last episode we recorded. I'm like, shit, we're gonna have to record 2 tonight, because I mean, clearly we see the amount of knowledge you got, the amount of love you got for the sport, and just even telling us about it. So
Yep.
we definitely were down.
And we're just, we're fans of
learning.
learning, and then having other podcasts. We've had a good amount of different podcasters for the same reason, because it's still a network, And you had something that we've done. Shout out to my boy Fern. We did like a fishing podcast.
yeah, Fry was telling me about
bro, I never fished in my life. It's the same thing, but I'm like, bro, we'll talk to. He's like, hey, would you talk? I'll talk to anybody, bro. Like, you can bring me a fucking garbage man, bro, and I want to fucking talk to that guy too. So of course, man, this is something that, y por eso we've forewarned the people, like, there's gonna be some dumb questions, but no me quiero quedar con ninguna duda. Like, I want to ask you dumb questions, and I also want to play not necessarily like the devil's advocate, just like, it's just the way society's, like, it's the pathway, because it's not like I'm just seeing it the way the nowadays, how the modern society is 1,000%, love the animals, against fucking any kind of violence towards them. So I do see it very tough for the cola people, and in this case, también the charreada people. I mean, the U.S., I think it's just gonna be so tough to live that part of the culture.
It's going to be tough, but what we're seeing in demographics, because my career, my business is in marketing, so I study the industry a lot. What I've been telling people that I've been noticing in the last couple of years, there's all these pieces to this huge puzzle that people aren't understanding. The biggest thing is demographics. Last year, Texas announced that there's more legally registered Mexicans than there are Caucasians. That is the second largest state in the country. We haven't gotten the numbers yet from California, which is the largest state as far as population goes. And pues, California hay tanto Mexicano, you know. And the reason being is because you have so much interracial marriage and people that become citizens and all that. So we are, it sounds weird, but we're kind of almost taking over back the country, certain states.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I think that de ese lado nos podemos proteger if we have the knowledge and we educate people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, from the financial aspect, alcohol sales from 2022 to 2023 dropped 55%. We're seeing a huge decrease in basically all communities not consuming alcohol. And the number one nationality maintaining alcohol sales above drowning level are Mexicans. The number one beer in the U.S., Modelo, la cervecería Modelo. Number one consumed liquor now is tequila. The number one cuisine consumed nationwide is Mexican food. So if we have all these things and we have such an impact in this country, why wouldn't we also try to take care of our culture? El ejemplo que yo siempre doy es el sombrero, que viene de la vida del charro, del mundo de la charrería, is an object that's recognized worldwide. You go to a mundial, what's the famous thing you always see people wear? Un sombrero, right?
Yeah.
So anybody in the world identifies the sombrero as México, ¿verdad?
Yeah.
Pues, ¿de dónde viene el sombrero? No viene del mariachi, viene del charro, viene de los vaqueros.
Well, yeah. But the normal person doesn't know that,
And
right?
that's why
so
it's
that's a lack of knowledge part that you're talking about.
Yeah, and that's why it's our responsibilities to have these kind of conversations and you know and publicize them.
Hell yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
agree.
Because you know it's one thing when I was watching that episode last time I was here. You have all these amazing bandas, right? ¿Qué tal si se acaba los coleros, los jaripeos y la charrería? Yeah, your musicians will still play, you know, at venues and whatnot, pero no es lo mismo que estar en un rancho. It's not the same vibe, you know. And like you guys have said, I mean, you know, you personally, Bart, like you saw how it's catapulted so much.
Yeah. It's
you know?
trending up.
It's
like
a
crazy.
huge trend, and there's so many people that are converted que pues ya les gusta el mundo del rancho, not just dressing up but being around the horses.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be it's not the same, especially in a city like Chicago where you know half the year you're inside.
Correct.
Llegas a un punto donde pues ya empieza a ser solecito and it's 40 degrees and we're wearing shorts and a t-shirt, right, with a hoodie,
Vámonos.
which in California that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
You know.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, 60 out there is people are freezing. But here it's like we all look forward to the summer, right? And what do you want to do? Es pues quieres escuchar banda en un rancho.
Yeah.
No es lo mismo escuchar una banda en un rancho que en un restaurant.
Yeah.
There's a big fucking difference. The vibe is just different. So it is important to preserve this culture because it, like I said at the beginning, it affects a lot of industries. It's just we don't understand that. We don't look at that. We don't look at the bigger picture, and that's something that I've dedicated the last 3 years to doing. It's not. That's why the podcast is about the lifestyle, and I'm planning on having bandas, artists, all kinds of people having on the show because it's all part of a very big community, and if we're able to preserve the culture and everything else, we're also able to protect all these businesses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hell yeah. Bro, I'm glad that you did come on because at the end of the day, we do want to become, you know, part of that, like, you know, tree to help you spread the word. Más que nada, because the more and more I think about it, it's not so much that, you know, the U.S. law is against the sport, right? I'm more worried, like, la generación cambian, and even though they're Mexican and they're born here, I think the ideology is an American ideology regardless because of the education in school. So we're battling against that. Like, we need to preserve the culture amongst the families, right? First and foremost, because they're going to get lost in the education system and they're going to see it as a bad thing, regardless if they're Mexican or not. And that's what we go up against, I think, the ideology of not losing the culture and within the families, más que nada, bro. And that's where I'm glad you came on so we can spread that part because pues las generaciones cambian y ideologías cambian y está cabrón con los morros.
So there's two ways I'm going to address that.
Yeah.
One, algo que siempre decía mi papá, and I'm sure your parents said it, la educación empieza en la casa.
Correcto.
That's first and foremost.
But nowadays doesn't go a long way.
It doesn't go a long way,
Let
but
me just fucking-
that's just bad parenting, though.
Correct.
You know,
it's-
TikTok is out
And it's,
here.
I mean, I think that it's only going to get worse. I mean,
Well, I mean, it depends.
Unless fucking AIs, parents are going to depend on AIs to help you out, then maybe not. Then they're going to help us out.
I mean, eso ya está más complicado porque si ya es de papá, but in our Mexican culture, we still have more of the cultural practice.
Right.
I think we're all around the same age que los papás de niños con la pura mirada te controlaban. And
Nosotros.
Sí, nosotros.
Sí.
And we definitely need to go back to that because it worked.
Yeah.
It worked. I mean, this is a really crazy comparison, but you look at all these school shootings across the country. How many times have you seen Mexicans? There hasn't been one single reported case. Why? Because our parents instilled that sense of fear and, more importantly, more than anything, respect. And that's something that's still very strong in our community, and we need to continue to preserve that ideology. You know what I mean? On the second perspective, well, it's just our responsibility to teach people all this.
Yeah.
That's really just what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And there's, I went to I was invited to give some speeches in D.C. At the beginning of the year about charreria because there's a guy who's very well connected politically. He's this big agricultural farmer on the East Coast, and he follows my podcast, and he invited me to go give a speech in front of senators and House of Representatives and other nonprofit people. And I met this lady that is I forget her exact title, but it has to do with the psychology of consumership in the Hispanic community. She was saying is that there is a social pandemic within the Hispanic communities, particularly Mexican Americans, where there's so many Mexican Americans that from I think it's 30 and less, que saben que son Mexicanos, but they don't fully know what that means. There's a sense of disconnect with the culture.
What was the percentage of that?
I think I don't remember the percentage, but I was saying the number was the age. I think it's 25 and less or something like that.
Okay.
I mean, I don't remember the exact number, pero that's one thing that I found very interesting on your guest last time we had that I was here was that son cantantes de banda, and they go to this, but they don't know, and it's like, well, I think you should know a little bit about it. You don't have to be an expert in it. And Pepe Aguilar said it too at La Cama de Comercios, which is a reel that I posted that went viral. And they asked him in Mexico, do you think this should be in the education books in schools? And he said, absolutely. He's like, I'm not saying everybody should be an expert in the topic, but you should know about it. The American comparison would be if an American doesn't know what baseball is. I think every American knows what baseball is. Maybe not rules, maybe not sports, teams and all that stuff, but you know the general concept of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I would say the same thing, the equivalent to us. It's just that it's an expensive sport. It's hard to get into. There's a lot of barriers, but we're trying to find a way to break those barriers and make things more accessible.
Yeah.
We're working on the website, and part of the mission is to have anybody that's interested in the sport to learn the basics on the website as well as through all our social media platforms. And, there's a bunch of tutorials that I've posted on Instagram to teach people. Even just the other day, I posted one reel, Cómo agarrar la rienda del caballo, from a professional arrendador that's what they do for a living, and they've done it for 3 generations. So
Right.
they know what they're talking about. And it went viral. It has over 500,000 views.
Oh, nice.
So it's shared over 5,000 times. So it's it's just everything's education.
Yeah.
And I think that the more people know about any subject that they're interested in, they'll get more connected to it. So I think if those banda guys were here and they learned this, oh shit, pues ya entiendo más.
Yeah.
Ya entiendo, por decir, muchas canciones de bandas, pues son relacionadas y hablan de toros y de caballos, pues es por esto.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, on the whole banda part, respectfully, I see what you're saying, but I don't think that they need to know necessarily what
No,
it means,
definitely not need, but maybe just kind
'Cause
of.
I'm just saying, when I was a musician, it's not that I didn't care for it, but we don't see it in that sense. It's like, I don't know, it's like going to a baseball game and expecting me to know how to hit the ball. I don't need to know how to hit the ball. I just want to, watch the game. I think it's the same comparison with that. But I do get what you're saying, though. But just on the musician side, I just say, jaripeos are cool, but usually the bandas just do the jaripeo and then that's it,
Yeah.
We don't know any of the other stuff. Y pues al fin del día, we're like, all right, well, we're just musicians.
Yeah,
We're fucking dumb
your job there is
musicians.
to alegrar the
Yeah.
event,
for sure.
But yeah, but anyway, at the end of the day, you're right. It's just knowledge. It's us not knowing I think it's generational. I think that it's something that it needs to be instilled first within the family before we can fucking worry about the government, to be honest. And then other than that, fucking, we would love to be on your fucking pod
Yeah.
one day.
Yeah.
Let us know when you come back. I mean, how often do you come to Chicago or what?
I came from a family emergency. There was a death in the family, so that's why I came. I've been traveling
hear
for.
that.
Thank you. I've been traveling for 2.5 months, so I finally was like, oh, I'm back at home. Llegó la llamada last week, and I me vine para acá. But we got to plan something out. Yeah, either you guys go out there, I'll come back here.
Do
I'll
you
bring
come
all
out
the gear.
often though, or not really?
Usually once or twice a year.
Okay.
Just depends. I mean, now with business, with my business, and then the podcast, and then si hay tiempo de charrear, pues
También.
it's
Yeah.
hard, you know.
We might, ahorita tenemos in the plans to go out to Vegas. And pues ya no nos quedas tan retirados, sí, no sé.
Well, technically, because I'm in North, pero we
Oh.
could set something up in
Okay.
SoCal. I mean, pues, de ahí a Las Vegas son 3 horas. I mean, we can set something up to go to a ranch or go to
We're
a
working
charreada.
something out because
Yeah,
if we do go to Vegas, we're maybe going to California. I forgot what the fuck Brio. Where's Brio from? Do you remember, compa? We might go see Brio Norteño. It's a group out there, and they invited us to go do something there in Cali. So we'll be in touch for sure.
Yeah,
we
for
go out
sure. I
there.
mean, even in Vegas, I have friends that have lienzos, and we can
Oh,
figure something out.
badass.
We can maybe create some content.
Hell yeah. Oh, whenever you're here, bro, let us know. Where
Same.
can the people find you, man?
So we are on Instagram or all social media platforms as Charro Talk. I would say the biggest page is definitely Instagram. That's the one I'm most active on. But YouTube for the episodes as well as tutorials. Spotify, Apple Podcasts is where you find the actual podcast. You can listen and watch them. And as far as social media platforms, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Charro Talk. CHARRO and then TALK. One word.
Compa, ¿cómo vio?
Vámonos a los caballos right now, compa.
Tenio.
Right now. I already see you right there.
Oh, bro.
I already see you. I already shirt
No shirt.
We got to do that.
On gravel.
Going face first instead, though. You're not going the other way. You're going face first.
Yo me
No
voy,
mames.
I'm going to publicly
You're funny,
comprometerme a ayudar to make that dream happen.
No.
Yeah, we got to do
Me
it.
culeo
At least
yo.
the slide.
I'm on
compa.
talk
At least the slide. I'm down for the slide.
But it can't
down?
be a wild
I'm down
horse.
for
It
the
can't
No.
be.
We're
You're
not going to put you on a wild horse.
No.
After I do the slide,
My
I'm
compa wants me to be on a
after
fucking
I
wild
do the
horse.
slide, I'm be like, I want to jump from one horse to the other. Let's
You like
do it right now.
the
Number 9.
one knee, but bam.
Oh, that was cool. He was like,
Boom.
I love it, bro. It's really cool what you're doing, bro. Like you're out here informing, bro, for the people who don't know shit. Now we're informed like a motherfucker.
For
you
sure.
know? I knew that there was parts to charreria, but I didn't know the whole thing, and it's pretty cool to have learned this, bro. And yeah, it is dope that at the end of the day, it all comes down back to like family, bro. Like the origins of Mexico, of how all this shit's
yeah.
happening, and it's great, bro. So definitely appreciate you coming out and being with us, bro. Sharing the knowledge and shit. We can't wait to get out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mínimo un burro también, ¿verdad, compa?
Ah, güey, lo que caiga. Usted
Lo que
le
caiga,
entra al
¿verdad?
pinche toro. Usted dele el toro, compa. I like the guy that went viral recently. I was going to bring him up earlier. The no shirt, and he's got the cigarette.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I like
The
that
jaripeo, yeah.
Jaripeo. You never seen that dude?
No.
He
He's
went
a
viral.
really famous jinete.
Yeah, he went viral, compa.
yeah,
Look
he-
that motherfucker up.
See, I
Wait,
forget
can you bring him up real quick, compa, or no?
Actually,
Sorry.
Look it up.
No.
I'm gonna tell a quick story right now. When we got to the coleaderas, so my nephew, he had a horse. His dad had gotten him a horse when he was young. So my nephew Andrew. He's pretty good on the horse, bro. And they used to take him to coleaderas a lot.
I got it.
And one
yeah.
time, my sister goes into his room. At this point, he's got to be young, maybe 12, 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, it fucking stinks in here. Why does it stink so bad? So this dude had brought home 2 colas and hung them on the wall, because he was so into it, bro. So he had 2 freaking colas and toros hanging on his wall. And my sister was like, what the hell? Get this crap
Why does
out
this
of
shit
here.
stink?
Yeah, it's so funny, man. So shout out my nephew.
I just said
He
shout out
loves
to
horses.
Andrew,
Yeah, he was pretty sad. I remember when he had to get rid of his horse. He was down. He was down. Pero yo creo que un día se compra otro el pelón porque también está
You know?
pesadillo.
El chompas.
Dude. Compa, you haven't seen this guy?
Nope.
Look it up.
Damn.
Ah, huevo.
He don't even look.
Compa Chompas.
He looks like he's Filipino, to tell you the truth, but
El Chompa de Guadalupe.
Man.
Rancho Oaxaca.
See, that's me right there. I think while I'm doing that, I got
Ahora,
something.
joder, no hands, bro.
Damn.
With the cigarette.
The ash never fell.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's
love it.
puffing. Look at
Damn, look at that, bro.
Yeah, he is puffing, bro. What?
He's next on the pod.
Yeah.
I swear.
one of my buddies is friends with him. So
I'm
we,
gonna-
we could probably make that happen.
I'm gonna try next time I see a mechanical bull, bro. I'm gonna light one up and
See,
I-
see how he
take
can't
off
get
my
off?
shirt. Damn.
He can't get off because he's stuck. He's locked in.
He's locked in, right?
Yeah, that's why he can't get off. He'll get off eventually, but he's locked in.
I love that, bro.
Well, that was part of my closing statement right here.
I kind of pictured you a little bit right now on your honeymoon.
Something like that, way.
Kind of like that,
Something
right?
like that.
I mean, we still should give him credit because even though they're locked in with Spurs, you still have to have a lot of strength and a lot of expertise to ride like that.
Oh, yeah.
I freaking love it.
Agustin, bro, thank you so much, man.
Well, thank
You're
you
my
guys.
kind of guy. You're spreading the knowledge. I'm all about the knowledge, the education. I love it. Thank you for fucking coming on here and sharing everything.
For sure.
I liked it. Let's do it again.
Yeah, let's do it again. Thank you guys. And next time I come in town, I'll take you to the ranch and I'll ask one of my buddies and we'll take you to the ranch. And let's make some content.
Damn.
Compa, you better get ready because you're not gonna be wearing your shirt. You're
Yeah.
not gonna be wearing your shirt. You're gonna be bam, all that.
I got to work out now.
And you might have to smoke a cigarette that day, dog. Cigarette in the mouth the whole time too.
Maybe,
And
maybe, we
honor
can,
este compa.
maybe we can get one of your followers to come to the ranch and experience it. Someone that's never been on a horse.
That's true. Well, let's set it up.
I love
Yeah,
it.
I can help. I can ask my friends. Shout out to the familia Gonzalez de Los Comales.
Shout out. We know them.
Los Comales, they have a charro team, se llama Arrieros de Manhattan. Taquerías de Totonilco, back in the day, used to have a team. I used to ride with them when I was a kid. So now I used to ride with Los Comales team back in the day, con Michael and Luigi Gonzalez.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm sure I can hit them up and ask them. We'll take you.
Badass.
They have some badass horses that are really good at sliding. So we can
Let's
put you
do
on
it.
we can put you on an automatic horse, no
Do
problem.
it.
Copa Fry, thank you, brother.
Yeah, thank you, Fry. Appreciate it.
Subscribe,
raza.
subscribe,
Keep
subscribe, subscribe,
subscribing.
subscribe. Ya se la saben, la pura positiva.
Estamos.
Read a book.
Campos Compas Podcast. Y somos compas.
This episode is brought to you by Casa Humilde Cerveceria. Shout out to Los Hermanos Lopez, born and raised in the north side of Chicago, in the Hermosa neighborhood to be exact. Everybody asks us, hey, where can I get some AMG beer? Hey, where can I get some Casa Humilde beer? All you got to do is go to CasaHumildeChicago.com, pop in your zip code. You're going to get all the locations. Go get some beer, go get some chelas, and go visit them at their new location out there in Forest Park. Casa Humilde Brewery. Ya se la saben. Son del quemado los pelados. This episode is brought to you by Frontline Auto Works, 1751 Albright Road in Montgomery, Illinois. All my people out there in the western suburbs, go check them out. Aurora, Oswego, Plano, Yorkville. Go get your car checked out. General Mechanic, they specialize in wheel alignment, transmission. They also do the Lyft and Uber inspection for all my drivers out there. Go check them out. You can make a scheduled appointment for an oil change for your AC recharge, 630-692-9704. Or feel free to visit them at their website, frontlineil.com. This episode is brought to you by Fry the Guy Designs, the man, the myth, the legend. If you need any kind of pictures, any kind of logo for a band, for a business, any kind of video, make sure you hit up Fry the Guy Designs. Follow him on all his social media, Instagram, Facebook. Make sure you tell him the compa sent you, and he will gladly send you a smiley face. This episode is brought to you by M4L. Mufflers for Less. Shout out to my guy, the Mexican Jay-Z, out there at 3349 North Damon Avenue. That's out there in Chicago, Roscoe Village, El Rey del Norte. Váyanse a chequear el mofle, 773-348-2955. But don't let the name deceive you. My guy out there does everything. General mechanic, from oil change to transmission to anything that you do, AC recharge, you call it. That's where we go. That's where Georgie went. Si escuchan la pedorra de Georgie, that's my boy Jose Cermeños out there at M4L 3349 North Damon Avenue, El Rey del Norte. Chequense el mofle. Today's episode is brought to you by Aguacate Chicago. Create your custom garment with us. We offer direct-to-garment services for your business or personal needs. There is no minimum order required, and we can also assist with creating your logo if needed. Follow us on all of our social media platforms under Aguacate Chicago.